Chronic disease is the leading cause of death and disability in North Americans today. 7 out of 10 deaths are caused by chronic diseases. The US, we now spend 3 times more on healthcare than any other developed country. In North Americans, we make up 5% of the world's population, yet we take 70 to 80% of the world's medications. Yet here we are. We continuously rank last or near last in the world in overall health. Senior citizens now spend more time in nursing homes and assisted living than ever before in history. The chance that a senior citizen will enter a nursing home is now 1 in 3. The chance that a patient in a nursing home is sedated or physically restrained is now 1 in 2. The average out-of-pocket cost to live in one of those nursing homes for just 1 year is $76,680. Science now confirms what we intuitively already knew to be true. It's not your genes, it's your choices that you make that ultimately determine your outcome. We have more diet books and websites and iPhone apps than we've ever had before, yet we're worse off than we've ever been. And now the average person doesn't know who to listen to or what to do. So we decided to create truth-based content and deliver an experience that we call a makeover. And it's to help you get consistent results and ultimately change your life. The Max Living Makeover, it's based on 2 principles. 1 is that your body is brilliant, and 2, it's that you're programmed for health. So today you're gonna learn the most cutting-edge science on hormone-based weight loss, how to burn fat most efficiently, and how to develop new habits for lasting change. Our desire is that you would not only achieve your health goals for yourself and for your family, but our ultimate desire is to see you change the way you fundamentally view and manage your health and healthcare. And that's what today is all about. Over 100,000 people have participated in the Max Living Makeover like this one today. Everyone from soccer moms to Olympic level athletes and really everyone in between. You're gonna learn more today about the regenerative power of the body and where true health and healing comes from than most people will learn in a lifetime. What that means for you is more time with the people that you love and more time to devote to your purpose on this planet. Your Max Living Makeover starts right now.
So welcome to the New Year, New You Makeover. Look, statistics show that 95% of the people that actually made a New Year's resolution, unfortunately, they've already broken it by today. So even if you made a resolution, if you are that one exception, well, I just got to tell you that I'm thrilled for you and I absolutely support you. And I just say, keep on rocking it here. But today is not about making some New Year's resolutions, but it's literally about making some real lasting change in your life. I mean, I want you to think about it, right? Most people don't even make a resolution anymore. And the question is why? Why? And it's because they made them for years and years and years, and they know they're not going to follow through on them anymore. So after a while, who actually wants to disappoint yourself? Who wants to be upset with yourself? Why even bother to set a new standard for this year if you know it's going to be the same as last year? If you're the kind of person that's here tonight, then obviously that is not you. And the question is what is it that makes us want to make a resolution? And that's really an interesting question. Why it is that at the beginning of this year, we have this tradition, right? There's something inside of us that makes us just want to make things better. And the calendar gives us this idea that we can have a fresh start and that we have this great victory in store. The only thing that's going to make you happy in the year ahead and the decades ahead is going to be having an experience where on a regular basis, you actually feel that your life is making progress. There's one thing that I teach, and I want you to remind all of you of it, and it's really simple. Getting things is not going to make you happy, okay? It doesn't matter whether it's money or it's opportunity. All those things might excite you for the moment, or even a relationship as magnificent as it might be exciting for a while. But if you don't keep growing, that relationship isn't going to stay exciting. So the secret of real happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness, and if we can make progress on a regular basis, we're actually going to feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year, we want this fresh start. I could expand, I could grow, I could improve, I could change, maybe better than change. I could progress. And think about that. Progress has an aliveness to it, doesn't it? You don't have to work at changing. People say that all the time. They said, well, I'm working on changing. Well, don't worry about it. You don't have to work on changing. Change, by the way, is automatic. Your body's going to change whether you want it to or not. And as the years go by, no matter how hard you work, there's going to be some changes going on there. The economy's going to change. The COVID's going to change, no matter what you want it to do. By the way, the weather's going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. And we don't have to work on change. Change, like I said, is just automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real change, then you've really got to look at your life in a different way. You've got to say, I got to take control of this process, and not just to hope it's going to work out like people do when they make a resolution. Because isn't that what they're really doing at the beginning of the year? They're saying, well, here's my resolutions for the year, and they're basically our wishes. And if it's our wish list, we just hope it comes together. And then they call it a resolution, but they don't know what a resolution is. So when you resolve something, you decide. So let me introduce you to your vision casters. My name's Dr. TJ Osborne, and with me today are Dr. Doss and Dr. Sherry. Gentlemen, why don't you introduce yourselves?
That's right. Thanks, Dr. Osborne. Boy, I am excited about this makeover, you guys. We've been working on this for a while. And, it's always good to start out a new year with new energy and new goals. I mean, I do my goals every year with my kids. We sit down, we figure out what's going to happen. Do we go through with every single one of them? Never like that. But you know what? If I look back at my goals over the years, I find out I've actually met quite a few of them. And today what we're really going to do is set you up in the right direction. I'm excited about what I get to go over with you guys in the next couple of hours here. We're going to be talking about your why. We're going to be talking about your vision. We're going to be talking about where you're going. The number one thing I've seen, I've coached thousands of people in the athletic world, in the health world, and over the time, the number one thing I've discovered that I want you to get out today is a lot of people have the tools, but they don't know how to use them. They know what they're supposed to do, but they just don't know how to go about getting it done. And that's a big difference. It's one thing to say, I need to lose weight and I'm going to eat right. I know I need to exercise to be healthy, so I'm going to start exercising. I hear it all the time. Great goals going swept by the side because people didn't create the habits and they didn't know how to use the tools at their own use there. So to this workshop, it's all about how do you take the tools that you know and actually utilize those tools throughout this year. I'm super excited about it today. Get out a pad of paper, take notes. Dr. Doss has some great stuff to share with you. I've already seen his notes. Dr. Osborne, as always, is going to unload a great bit of information for you. But here's the deal. Like always, you're going to be pumped up. You're going to get a lot of stuff. It's not having the tool in the garage that gets the job done. It's using the tool. And this class, this day, is about how to use the tool, how to get the tool out and start using it. I'm looking forward to today, guys. We're going to talk to you again. Dr. Doss, what do you got for us?
Thank you very much, Dr. Sherry. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Doss here. I'm really excited to be with you on the webinar. We've got a lot of great information coming up. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I am in charge of office engagement, which means that I work with our patients on their lifestyle. I teach some of the Surge classes and I run our online Surge program. Today I'm going to be talking to you about motivation, measuring weight loss, and some of the things that can stop weight loss from happening, such as stress or toxins. And also I'm going to be talking about a chemical called leptin and how that has an effect on both your body's weight retention and your appetite. So we've got a lot of great information coming up for you, and I'm really excited to get to it.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Doss. We started this new thing at the office where we all have our areas to work on. And I think Dr. Doss, working on the engagement part of our practice, getting you guys involved. We have a lot of resources in this office, and jump in. I mean, those Surge classes that he does are just awesome. I watch him. He's amazing at doing that. He's got a lot of knowledge to share with you guys. So make sure you take advantage of everything he's got going on. My job is with the new patient world. My job is outreach. My job is to help you guys help friends and family. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. But really, the idea of getting healthy, everyone wants to be healthy. We'll talk more about that. But how do you get friends and family into our office and change their lives? Now, if you're out there listening and you're a patient, you get it. If you're out there listening and somebody has had you listen to this because they're a friend or family is a patient in our office, they probably desperately want you to dial in and get your health in because it's the most important thing. Listen, if you're someone on the internet that just found this and you're watching it, I really want you to soak this in. If you're in another city, another area, you're too far, another country, another state from us, we'll find a Max Living office for you. But the idea that our office is not just to sit here and tell you, but to get you into office, plug you into our resources, and get you healthy. That's what this is all about today. So looking forward to going on. Let's get started.
Like I said, this is Dr. Osborne, and I just want to remind you, one of the reasons why you're doing this is that you live in our town. You live in Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley right now has a population of 3.1 million people. That's a lot of people. The problem is that 45% or 1.39 million people in the valley right now has at least one chronic disease, okay? And these conditions, they include things like, I don't know, like arthritis and asthma, cancer, cardiovascular disease, depression, right? And diabetes. These are just a few of the many chronic diseases and illnesses that have literally been impacting the lives of so many Americans, and not just Americans, but people right here in our town. You know, in the Bible, it says in Esther 4:14, it says that perhaps you were born for a time such as this. What that means is that God has put us on this planet, put me on this planet, put my team on this planet. And he's placed our team where we are right now in this valley for a reason. See, God has discovered chiropractic right where it is so that it can be an influence, not only to our community, but to you as an individual. And the reason being is that there are so many sick and suffering people. And it's grown over the last 25 years we've been in practice, and no matter how hard we've worked, and we know that it mattered to the one, but we got a heavy heart, right? I have a heavy heart for the one that we haven't reached. I mean, they're your family, they're your friends, they're your coworkers, the person walking down the street that you don't know. So on our 25th anniversary, Dr. Sherry and I were talking about this, and we had a moment of satori, or a moment of instant enlightenment, where we really had to face reality, and we knew that we could do better. So as a team, we accepted this challenge to align our capacity with what he sees, right? We are capable of. And I have to tell you, I have to create the ability of our office to be able to serve. And I believe that God's going to open doors and close doors in our life, because he's leading us to bigger things and better things. But we just have to be ready. You just have to be ready. And so what I do know about you, and I do know about our team, is that each team member at Discover Chiropractic, and you'll meet every single one of them, was born for a time such as this in our lives. And in this time, we're called to make a difference where God's placed us at this moment, at this stage of our lives. And every patient that walks into our doors is brought into our doors and entrusted to our care. And then people are designed, and this is the most important thing, people are designed to be healthy and heal as long as there's no interference. And guess what? Health and healing is controlled by your nervous system. And what we teach as a Max Living office is that the 5 essentials are the only way to remove interference. And when that interference is removed, each person is going to be able to reach their optimal potential for love and life and health and happiness. And this only comes from the inside. So it's our firm belief, my firm belief, that families like yours are healthier inside of our office than families on the outside. The problem is this, is that the world's come to expect sickness and disease as normal. And the only purpose of this makeover, the only purpose of Discover Chiropractic existing, is to create an absolute radical shift, a radical movement in our community to save lives, to restore optimal health, and to redefine vitality as the new normal, with the end goal of each person fulfilling their human potential. So I just want to let you know that my team, we're committed over the next year to doubling down on this mission to save lives and to make sure that we deliver the absolute highest quality educational programs and care programs there. And that's what today is. This is the first step in us fulfilling our calling. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. Just make sure you sit down and get ready, because this is going to be one of the rides of a lifetime, all right? Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, just make sure you're there. All right, because this is interactive. This isn't just us talking. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're thinking. I want to hear your questions. And at the end, we'll do a Q&A where we can answer any of those questions. So sooner or later, everybody's going to sit down to what we call this banquet of consequences. And I'm going to say it one more time, sooner or later. And what that means is that sooner or later, everyone's going to sit down to this banquet of consequences. Now, that's a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson, but it's true today. See, this is 2021. It's a new year. It's the New Year New You Makeover. And right now, this weekend, like all over North America, there are thousands of people going through a similar program that you're going through today. And that makes you part of literally one of the largest movements of individuals who see things differently, who want better outcomes for themselves and their families, and who are honoring their body. And and that we've been gifted with, right? And I say gifted on purpose. And because you're here, you're part of this movement, right? It really makes you family. So thank you for being here. We're all called to, we all started calling these things, these seminars that we put on, extreme health makeovers. And we started about 15 years ago. These makeovers were modeled after that extreme home makeover. So if you ever watched that show before, it's because of the radical transformations that we've been able to see, and because of the information that you're going to learn today. So we have people in this room that have attended this type of makeover year after year, and there's people in here that are watching right now that have already lost 70 pounds. They're off multiple medications. Their lives have literally been transformed. We have people here that have been able to work with their doctor, which I am going to hear me say this. That's one of the caveats. Is that I am your doctor, right? They work with our doctors to get healthy. They don't need to be dependent on medications. And so you hear what I'm saying when I say that, but it's one of the reasons that we've been so blessed. We've been so blessed over the last 2 decades to work with so many people. And even today, we've been at the Olympics twice. We work with professional sports teams. We work to grandmas in their 90s and their 100s. And I got to tell you, we've been blessed to work with so many people, and the reason being is that what we do works. It's not esoteric, it's not weird, it's not gimmicky, it's not one of those out there, fringe things. It's based off fundamental principles of success. And I say principles because it's exactly what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn the principles of success in the most critical area, and that is of life. And I would say one of the most important areas right now when it comes to life is health. So I would say one of the most important areas right now when it comes to life, which is actually health, right? Like your health is your life and your life is your health. And so the first step to change is actually to show up, right? The fact that you actually showed up today, there's a lot of other things that you could be doing, literally dozens of other things, right? What that means is that you're an action taker, that you take action. So give yourself a hand, high five the person next to you. Look, you're a type of person that takes action, and surveys have been conducted to determine what are some of the most popular, the most common New Year's resolutions for you action takers. And the results, it may not be surprising to you, but some of the top New Year's resolutions, guess what they are, right? Losing weight, eating healthier, exercising, reducing stress. It probably sounds a little familiar to you right now, but these resolutions, they all have one thing in common. They are doomed to fail if you don't have a big enough reason why. And the reason or the intention behind the exercise actually becomes the losing weight. So we have this makeover at this time of year on purpose. Because like I said, study shows that 95% of all results that people have failed by this point. And you might as well say, well, that's exactly, like I said, why I don't make resolutions. But the research also shows that it's not a good idea to stay fat. It's not a good idea to stay sick. It's not a good idea to stay nearly dead. So how do we change? How are we going to bridge this gap here? So the hardest part of any workout is putting on your workout clothes. It's kind of cliche because it's true, right? But even once you push past your own excuses, we're just too busy. We're too tired. We're too lazy. And we showed up to exercise. And then there's the challenge of sustaining that exercise, right? It's so common a challenge that social and behavioral scientists have been working for years on how to fix this. But it's a common practice, especially in healthcare, to attempt to motivate someone into change by reminding them how good exercise is for them, right? We all know that exercise is good. We'll say things like, and I've said this to patients myself, you should exercise because it's good for your heart. You should exercise with a diet and exercise, and you'll be able to reduce your chances of getting certain types of cancers. And unfortunately, many times I find that our practice members don't exercise, or people on the street, our family members don't exercise. The reality is that this technique is unlikely to inspire any change. See, dodging a heart attack or escaping cancer, that may or may not happen for years from now, but it's unlikely to motivate you to get your butt out of bed at 6 a.m. in the morning and to come out of that comfy, cozy bed and to actually spring into the hard work of exercise, to be able to do those burpees, to be able to do those squats. So instead of exercising because it's good for you, We got to focus on why we're actually doing that, because everybody is motivated differently. And initially, you might want to look in the mirror. You might want to lose 20 pounds so your clothes fit better, but there's more to it than that. And that's what it's going to take to keep you going. And it starts with what we do on a regular basis. It starts with your habits. It certainly starts with your why and why you try to eat better. And I imagine you've tried to exercise more, and you know that you already know that an apple is better than a donut, and you already know that intuitively that a grain-fed burger and the flour bun and the French fry sprayed with pesticides, you already probably know that these are the exact behaviors that lead to heart disease. You know that already. And the reality is that this technique of trying to motivate your change to avoid heart disease is not going to inspire change. You know that let's say a heart attack or escaping cancer, for most people, until at the end of their life, is not a motivation. It may not happen 10 years from now. It may not happen 20 years from now. But you know that it's unlikely to motivate you, like I said, to get out of bed, that comfy, cozy bed, and get up and work out, right? And to choose that apple over the donut. It's unlikely to motivate you to put down that soda. But the key is this. So instead of exercising because it's good for you, focus on why you're doing it. And everyone's going to be motivated differently. Initially, you might want to look better in the mirror. That is fine. That's an okay goal to start with, but you have to eventually get to a point where you're anchored to a bigger purpose than just losing 20 pounds. You're anchored to a bigger purpose than having your clothes fit. There's more to it than that, and I'm going to keep you going in the long haul, because the problem is that a lot of times we have this self-discipline, right? We say, I don't have discipline, I'm not a disciplined person. The challenge is we don't have a big enough reason why to be disciplined. And I just want to encourage you that you are more disciplined than you know. We just have to find out what your big why is. Now, there's some of you today, and you know who you are, that actually really want to change. And the problem is that we don't always get what we want, right? We don't always get what we want, but we get what we're committed to. And whatever stage of life that you're in right now, you know that the fundamental principles that we're going to talk about today, these are the things that are going to have a measurable impact on your life. We're going to look through this, and we're going to, and I guess the subject today, this is the most important subject of your life. And even though you may not have made it that way initially, think of this as thinking of today as a should, not a must. And the problem today is that one of the problems is that the fact is that we don't identify absolutely what should change in our lives. You know what's gonna make a difference today. What's going to be the fundamental thing that today is that when you identify that which moves the needle in your life. You know, you need to know what's, we all say, like, I should change my diet. I should stop eating sugar. I should start exercising. I should stop drinking. I should stop going through the drive-through. You should stop drinking sodas, right? You know, as soon as we look back, as Tony Robbins says, we start to should all over ourselves, right? And then all we have is crap to show for it. So it's not the fact that we don't know that we need to change. It's that we don't know how to leverage our change. So what we know is that 80% of success in psychology is not the mechanics. It's not the how, and that's why we're spending so much time on this. It's the why. It's the identifying the deeply held beliefs that we have that are motivating, and these motivating certain behaviors. So today, right now, is all about making new decisions. So if you make different decisions, you're going to take different actions. Yes or yes, right? So if you take different actions, well, I promise you, and the only common sense says is that you're going to get different results. Is that correct? Give me a thumbs up on that if that's correct, right? So today we're going to be focusing on the decisions that you're making in the areas of your life, in the areas of energy and success, and how important that is for your future to change. And also, when should that change happen? Right now, right? That's right. Right now, that change needs to happen. So here's the secret. You don't have to wait for your life to fall apart. And most people wait for their life to fall apart before they make this massive change. You don't have to wait for your life to fall apart for you to create this. that would be more of a reactive approach to getting well. I think you're here today because you want to take a proactive approach with your health and your life. You can leverage that to making things really become a must. Now, there are some of you today that are here and you really want to change. The problem is that we don't, like I said, always get what we want. We get what we're committed to. And so I'm going to ask you, whatever stage you're at, these principles that we're going to talk about will have a massive impact on you and a massive impact on your life as long as you play all out. So then the question is what I'm going to ask you is, what is your why, right? What is it? What is it, that thing that you have to change? And I think this is if we can answer this one question, we pretty much have won today. So why should you change? Or I would say, why must you change right now? And so it might be something that's painful, right? It might be something that gives you pleasure, because we as human beings, we only do things for two reasons: to gain to gain pleasure, or to get rid of pain, or to avoid pain. And I think the thing is that we're all either motivated or by pain or pleasure. So for some of you, it'll be the pleasure of being able to be there with your grandkids, right? And be able to pass down that wisdom and that knowledge and your life experiences there. Maybe for others, it'll be just to be able to spend time with the people that you love, your wife or your husband, to be able to, you've worked your whole life for so long and missed so many of those golden moments that now you'll be able to live to 80, 90, 100 years with extraordinary health, right? To be there with your spouse in old age and in good health. Look, there are several people online right now. There are a lot of people that their motivation, and this works for them, but that's their motivation. But there are other people like me that are driven by the thought of pain, like the pain of my father, watching him waste away from cancer and not being able to see my sisters graduate there, or to be able to see my children, or be able to participate in their life. That's the pain that drives me, because I don't want that to happen to my kid. But if life continues to trend in its current direction, and you can't stand the thought of it, let's say ending up in a nursing home, because we're going to either end up one of two places, the cruise ship or the nursing home. You can picture that, right? You can visualize that. If you can see yourself there, if you continue moving in that direction, well, then the consequences of these behaviors of gaining, you can't stand to think of yourself gaining another 20 pounds, right? So if the idea of you ending up in a nursing home because you gain another 20 pounds, because you're on more medications, or actually losing your mind or your memory in your old age, if that's the pain that you want to avoid, so you're going to have to know what you're driven by, right? What is your biggest driver? Are you driven by pain, or are you driven by pleasure? Then you actually have to use that. And that's what we call leverage. It's your why. Your why is your leverage. Remember, we had KK come to the office. She said it's your drive. It's what keeps you going when you actually want to stop, when you want to give up, when you don't want to get out of bed. It reminds you of your purpose when you'd rather sleep in, like I said, when you'd rather have that donut, when you'd rather have that soda, when you know that Granny Smith apple, or wanting to be healthy, or just losing those few pounds. It's not enough, right? It has to play small. It has to drive you. It has to create leverage for you. And that's why you were given this worksheet, okay? So what we're trying to do is help you find out what your why is. Why is it that you must change now? Because it's either going to be pain or pleasure. And for some of you, it's going to be the pleasure of being able to be there, like I said, with your grandkids, and pass down the wisdom and knowledge of your life and experiences. Like I said, some of you, it's going to be with your spouse. And there are others that are, like I said, are driven by the pain and discomfort in your life, and it continues to trend in that direction. All I know is this: we're going to have to make some decisions. And right now it's the time to be able to make these decisions. We got to know what is driving you right now. I want you to be healthy. I want you to lose pounds. I want you to get off your medications. But like I said, those things are not a big enough why.
Dr. Osborne, the why is so important, and what he was talking about there is key. I think when you guys sit down, as we start looking at changing lives and changing health, you got to find out what your why is. The why is like the motor in the boat. You can want to go from point A to point B, but if you don't have a motor, I mean, some people have gigantic whys. And those people have gigantic motors on those boats, and they just fly across the ocean. Some people have small whys. They're hand paddling. Some people have no whys, and they're drifting. But beyond just having the big motor, right? Like you can have the boat, you could have the biggest why you've ever imagined. You could have why, you could be A+ on the Dr. Osborne part right there, where you'd say, I know my why, I'm dead on. My why is I want to live long enough to see my great grandkids, and that's my why. Well, that's a good why. There's no problem with that why. I like the why. The issue is the vision. And there's a worksheet that you'll see here called our vision worksheet, that if you don't know how to get there or where that is, the big motor doesn't matter. You end up driving around the ocean all the time and not getting there. So you got to have the vision. You got to know what parts do you need to work on to get there. So there's a vision worksheet that you'll have in your handout. Grab that. Either now, if you can get to it, or later, you can pull it out. And it basically walks you through the same thing that I do. And I mentioned earlier that I do my goals with the kids. And, one thing I sit them down is we run them through the 10, the 5, the 3, the 1 year goals. And, a lot of times the kids will be, I have no idea what I'm going to look like in 10 years. And the point is, I know you don't, but you have to have a destination. You got to have the vision of what it's going to look like to get there. That doesn't mean that's going to be how it's going to be, but you need to at least have an idea of the direction you're going. I'm going to head across the ocean. I don't want to do circles, so the vision's important. So take a look at there. There's a 5, what does life look like in 5 years from today? Where do you want to be health-wise? Sit down with that. I love there's a part that has a pinwheel with tins on it. It has instructions on how to do it. It's a pie chart where you kind of color in the different areas. You go through your exercise, how are you doing that, your purpose, your occupational, love, relationships, your mindset. The nutrition part is on there. You get a chance to kind of do a little self-evaluation. And that's going to be important, because where you're struggling will give you an idea of where your vision needs more help, especially if you're struggling over the past. So I really want you to sit down and do that. I see a lot of people fail with their health goals or life goals because of energy. And I know that sounds weird, but I see a lot of people come in and they'll say, what, especially around now, it's the new year, and let's be honest, a lot of times it's lose weight, right? I mean, that's the main one people want to do. Is this year I'm definitely losing weight. And so they'll come in and they are all fired up about losing weight, but they don't necessarily know how they're going to get there. And they don't have that vision of what that's going to look like. They don't burn that in, and that leads to problems. And oftentimes, by the way, me wanting to lose weight and being a lot of energy in losing weight, but yet my life is struggling in, let's say, my love and relationship part, or my nutrition part is in, you're not, or my occupational challenges might be there. You have to evaluate the whole thing. You can't just sign up. Well, I guess you can. You can sign up to run a marathon. They'll take your money, but if you don't train for it, it doesn't work too well. And even if you get to the marathon and you don't have the map of where the course goes, it might be tricky. They might give you some tips as you go. There'll be tons of people along your path that are going to give you tips, but you got to know where you're running, where your course is, and what it looks like at the end. When you get to the end of that race. About every other year I do this relay where we swim across Lake Tahoe, and we have a pretty good idea of where we're going. When we start that race, I know we're going from this beach 12 miles across that lake, and I know what it looks like. I know I can visually see the vision of the finish line, that crystal clear water with those big rocks underneath it. I can see that balloon arch they put up on the beach. There's a pier right along the side there. And as you swim up in that pier, if you're the last person swimming, people will be cheering, and you'll come out, you have to run up the beach. I have a good solid vision of what the end looks like when I start that race. I also have a really good vision of what it's like to be in the middle of that lake swimming when it's crystal clear out in the middle, and you can see just vaguely, you can just see in the distance mountain peaks that we're swimming toward. I can't fine tune it. I can't say I can see the the balloon arch out there, but I can see the mountain peaks where I'm heading, and it gives me direction to keep going. So you got to have the vision. You got to start with the vision. You can't just sit down and say, this is we're going to go on. I'll give you another example. Years ago, I had a great opportunity. I coached, when I was in chiropractic college, I got to coach the Saratoga High School water polo team for 4 years. And a couple of years before I had gotten there, they had some problems and the team had lost almost all their games. And when I started there, I had a very set vision that I wanted to turn this team around. I really wanted to win a championship with this team. I wanted to turn that whole program around. And in 4 years we did. We had a great job, but it wasn't done accidentally. It was done with a lot of help with assistant coaches, a lot of help with parents, and a lot of help with players working hard, and parents and players buying in to the vision of what we were going to do. So I really want you to sit down and understand the vision, and then you buy in to that. And the why is the motor that drives this thing forward. Now, let's talk about a couple things that are problematic for us. We're going to go down whenever you set your goal and your vision, you know where you're going, you got to look at where are the road bumps. All right, where are the road bumps? Anytime you do a running race, for instance, if you're going to run a 10K or a marathon, any good runner will always talk to you about where is the hard part of the race. Where are the hills? Where's the hills? Dr. Osborne and I, years ago, we used to run a relay race from Calistoga to Santa Cruz. It's called the relay. They still do it. We did it, I think I did it 8 years in a row. Dr. Osborne did it with me, I think 3 or 4 years. 12 people, and we run across. It takes us a little over 24 hours, and we know the obstacles. We all would run 3 times straight through there, but there were some runs that were really, really hard, that were like up. Highway 9, you had to run to the top of Highway 9 to get down over to Santa Cruz. And those runs were hard. And you had to know those were the bumps in the road. Those were the speed bumps that we had to be ready. We couldn't just be running along sprinting and then all of a sudden someone realized, oh, we have to go over the Santa Cruz Mountains. Like, you had to know those are there to prepare for those. And I didn't just, when I captained the team, I just didn't randomly put in anybody who was running on my team, like just popcorn, okay, you can do it. I had to specifically pick certain people who I knew could run up those, who were strong enough in their why and their vision of getting through, who could tolerate running over that hill. I certainly didn't put in my young first-time runners or people that didn't run a lot. I didn't give them those runs. Those were too big of challenges. And in America, it's diet. In America, 80% of people in America eat junk food on a daily basis. You just process that for a minute. You go back 100, 200 years ago, there was no such thing as junk food. Now, junk food's everywhere. I took a trip to Europe years ago when I got out of college, and I was stunned to see how many American junk food restaurants are all over the world. It's actually really sad. But think about that. 80% of Americans, 80% of the people that you interact with day in and day out are eating junk food on a daily basis. Not a weekly, but a daily basis. And that has led to a massive effect of overeating in America that's led to obesity, which is robbing us. The number one health issue that Americans are facing, almost all of it's related to obesity and microcirculation problems. I'll say that one more time. The number one problem that Americans are facing are our diet causing obesity and microcirculation issues within the body that causes chronic disease, and it robs us of our vision and our goals in life. You can have everything, right? You can have all the money in the world, you can have everything you want, but if you don't have your health, you really have nothing. Without the health, that's the core, that's the foundation. And there's a ton of great poets and philosophers who talk about that. The health is the foundation. If you don't have that, it doesn't really matter if you have the nicest car in town. It doesn't matter if you have the nicest motorcycle with the greatest car rims or whatever. Like, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And I think that, if you really want to see that, swing by, some of the hospitals, see people without their health, and talk to them. I've done that, and you'll hear very sad stories, and people will give you very grounded comments about what's important in life. What really is important in life. One of the things I've done with my children for years is I've had all of them go with ride-alongs with the fire department and the police department. I want them to see the bumps in the roads, but I want them to see life as it is, an experience they've all had, and it has changed all 3 of them. They've all tell stories about those days, riding with the fire department or the police department, seeing the real world. And obesity is a nutritional challenge that we can take on, but I hate to tell you, you're being brainwashed. Just look at what's on the marketing scale out there. Look at what we're being told. Go to the grocery store. The majority of food in the grocery store is not healthy. It's not helping us. What we're being told. Very addictive type of foods that the majority of us. I mentioned this a while back when we did a talk. I did the talk and I was talking about the book called Getting Over the Food Seductions. And if you don't remember it, ask me when you come in and I'll remind you of what that is. Getting Over the Food Seductions, written by a doctor who lays it all out about how food, for a long time, they said food's not an addiction because food, you can't be addicted to food. And we're finding out that it turns out we are. A lot of these fast food restaurants, our brains light up in the exact same areas, the pleasure centers and stuff when we eat these foods. So that book blew me away because I really realized this isn't so much about me being hungry. This is me feeding an addiction. So I want you to start thinking about how we handle the bumps in the road as we start moving forward, because the obesity and the microcirculation issues that come up with that is really robbing you of the things that you want. And again, I mentioned earlier, I've worked with thousands of people. I've never come into somebody who said, you know what, Dr. Sherry, I want to be as unhealthy as I can be for as long as I can be, totally uncomfortable, and I want to die young and miserable. Right? Never heard that before, did you? I never have heard that. In fact, quite the opposite. Since I deal with a lot of the new patients coming in, almost always when I look for their why, when I ask them, why are you here? And once you get past the, I have low back pain or I have neck pain, you get to the real reason. What is that robbing them of? And what you're going to find is almost always it goes back to relationships. It goes back to, I want to do this for my kids. I want to be alive for my grandkids. I want to see my daughter get married. I want to be there when my son graduates from college. You boil it back down to relationships. Now, why am I hitting you with this? Because when you deal with an addiction, you can't play fair. And most of the foods that people are eating are addictive type of foods that we eat. The high sugars, the high salts, the high fats, the wrong foods. And it just triggers our brain and our happy centers light up every time we do it. I will go through it when the office you come in. I'll give you some exercises to try to find out your addictions, but it's eye-opening stuff. Now, look at this obesity problem a little closer. Throughout the years, it's gotten worse and worse and worse in America. You don't realize you have a problem in the very beginning when stuff comes up, right? We've all heard that. You have the family member who's having some problem and they don't see it. Everyone talks about it, right? Like Uncle Ricky, he doesn't even know he's got the problem, right? Aunt Sue, we all are seeing it, but they don't see it. America's like your aunt or uncle. We don't really see it. We're buzzing, we're talking about it. But the obesity problem in America has continued to blow up. I mean, when I lay this out, remember I said, when we look at your health, we got to look for the hills. Where's the Highway 9? Where's the Highway 9 on your journey to getting healthy? One of them is the obesity and the food problem in America. You've got to be able to conquer this one first. And so if you look at what's happening in America, take a look at some of the numbers on obesity. It's riveting. And in 1999 and 2000, over 30% of the population was obese. In 2017, just 17 or 18 years later, the obesity problem had grown to 42.2% obese. That's a big, big number of people that have gone into it. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And don't be fooled, we live in California. We're in a little bit of an island on this. If you go back into the other part of the country, in the South specifically, the problem is a lot worse. I mean, it is an amazing issue that we've got to conquer. And it's not just for you. When we talk in our office, I talk to you, but I'm trying to talk to you because I'm trying to talk to your friends, your family, everybody else. I'm trying to get through there. Dr. Osborne and I talked, when we got out of chiropractic college together, the whole idea was to help as many people as we could be as healthy as you can. And you really quickly realize you can't do it alone. You really do. I'm going to say within the first 6 months to a year, you start realizing, wait a minute, I can't change the world alone. I need help. And as I give you guys this information on how to set goals, how to phase your vision, how to move forward, how to look at the addiction of food, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you right now. Take these notes, pass them on to your family. Get these friends and family into our office. Your friends and family want health just like you do. I promise you, when they come in and meet with me and I say, what are you after? They're going to boil it down and say, I want to be healthy. And they'll tell me about dreams and things they want to do in life. And without their health, they won't get it. So remember that with this obesity thing, it's just a speed bump. I'm using it to show you. It's the speed bump, one of the big ones that we have to conquer, right? So we want to start this new year out right. I really want you to dig in today and really focus on some of the things we're going to do. I'm going to challenge you a little bit later here, okay? Because what you want to be is you got to be healthier. But how is the important thing, okay? So how do we do it? Well, in our office, we have the 5 essentials. And if you've been in our office, you've seen them. If you haven't been to our office, congratulations, you're going to be seeing them soon, hopefully. The 5 essentials is basically boiled down to like, what are the things that you need in your life to be healthy? What are the 5 main things that you need? So let's go through them. One essential is nutrition. Now, everybody knows that, right? I mean, I don't think you can go out and say, hey, if you eat unhealthy, did you get healthy? The answer would be no. Everyone knows that, right? So the essential of nutrition is an obvious one. Oxygen and exercise. How many people out there don't realize that exercise and oxygen play a huge part in our bodies being healthy? I think we all get it. I think that started back in the 70s and is pushed all the way through. We get it. Most people understand that essential. No one argues with that essential, right? No one argues with the nutrition and the exercise part. We get it. What about getting rid of poisons and toxins? You find people fighting for that? You find people go, no, I think that's a bad one. I've heard all this other stuff, but I don't have a problem with toxins and poisons. Now, everyone gets that one, right? So there's 3 of our 5 essentials, which are slam dunks everyone gets, right? Eat better, exercise more, and stop ingesting toxins, pesticides, poisons that are detrimental to our health. Now, the other one is mindset. I used to work, I did a lot of work with the San Jose Fire Department. I did stress workshops at all of their fire departments for all the different firemen, and all I did was talk about stress. And mindset covers stress, it covers sleep, it covers how do you take care of your brain? How do you take care of your brain? Your brain runs the whole thing. Basically, this is like your supercomputer. This is the computer that runs your entire body, and you need to take care of it. You know, you can't just go work all the joints and everything and expect the brain and the computer to be fine. So there's 4 of them, right? Nutrition, mindset, oxygen and exercise, and getting rid of toxins. So nobody argues with that. Now, there's one more in there that we have in there, and I always find it interesting. It's the core chiropractic part. It's the core chiropractic part. It's taking care of your nervous system and your spine. And it's always interesting to me because if I bring in a new patient, if I meet someone on the street and I talk to them about health and I mention the 5 essentials and I go through them, they agree with all 4 of those. They get them. And when I say chiropractic, wait, what do you mean? They don't get it. When they come into my office, though, when they spend time with me in that room and I show them the spine and I show them the nervous system, and you guys know you all went through this process. When I showed you everything, you all did the same thing. You all realized all of a sudden that 5th essential was really important. That chiropractic component is absolutely important. If the nervous system can't function right, if you let that spinal cord connection dwindle away and not communicate to the body, it doesn't work either way. So you rob yourself of good food, you'll die. You rob yourself of nerve impulse, you're going to die earlier. You don't take care of the supercomputer, detrimental to your health. You don't exercise, everyone knows we atrophy, meaning we get smaller and we dwindle away. It's like a leaf drying out in the wind. You know that's going to happen if you don't exercise. And getting rid of toxins, it's a slam dunk. Those are the 5 areas. As we're sitting here and you're taking notes, and in that vision chart, right? In that vision chart, it had the 5 essentials in there. You got to go fill in those 5 and figure out what you're doing. Now, if you've never been to our office, you've never been to a chiropractor, guess what? You don't get to fill anything in the chiropractic section. You're literally like saying, when I say how are you taking care of your teeth and you have to say I've never been to a dentist, you're not scoring very high on taking care of your teeth. So those 5 essentials are the key. If you're a patient, you know them. We're going to refocus you, check how you're doing on those, pick out the ones we need to improve, and make a push in the right direction. If you're a new patient, someone who's coming into us soon, I look forward to meeting you, you're going to fill those out, and you can tell me when you come in and say, these are the areas I need to work on. You know, I don't know anything about chiropractic. Can you take a look and tell me how I'm doing? Let's find out. Or, boy, I'm eating really bad. Those are the areas we're going to focus on when you come in. Now, when you get those ideas, so we talked about that. Got to have your why, right? The why is the engine on that boat. It drives you. You got to have your vision. The vision is where am I going and what's it going to look like when I get there? And we got to be aware of the road bumps. Where's the Highway 9? Right? Where's the Highway 9? Where are things going to be hard? I'll tell you a story I told the other day. I was listening to a vegan bodybuilder. This guy is just ripped. Lean as all can get out. And they were interviewing about his diet. And he was talking about his diet and how strict he was. And the interviewer said, so do you never cheat on your diet? Like you just never cheat? And he said, no, I cheat. I cheat. And I thought, here we go. This is good. I wanted to hear this part. You know, like turn it up. Let's hear what he says. He said, no, I cheat on my diet. He goes, but I don't get ambushed on my diet. And I actually had to stop it and rewind it and listen to what he meant. I want to share what he said. He said, I will cheat on my diet when I decide to cheat on my diet. He went on to tell a story about how he doesn't allow himself to get ambushed on his diet. For instance, he said, if I go out one night and I go into a restaurant with some friends, I know specifically what I'm going to have. And if everyone decides to have dessert at the last minute, I don't have dessert at the last minute because it wasn't in my plan to have dessert. He goes, if I knew there was a birthday party coming up on Saturday and it's the week before, and he said, you know what, I'm going to have a piece of pie or cake at the birthday party, I allow myself to cheat when I plan. Super important lesson, guys. That guy is the way he is because of his vision, because of his why, and his drive. Just process that. He's allowed himself to realize, I need to do these cheats occasionally. It's okay, but I plan it and I don't get ambushed. Look at the way we, listen, most of us get ambushed, right? With these goals, we'll talk more. You know, you got this great goal and then you get ambushed, right? So we want to avoid that. So 5, the most common barriers to habit change: lack of consequence, lack of support, okay? Unrealistic goals, we'll talk about that, and there's no good starting point, and then feeling isolated. Those are the 5 we're going to walk out for. So I'm done for my part. I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Doss. He's going to talk about what motivates you. Dr. Doss, the show's yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sherry. I think it's really important what you said about not having a starting point. Something that I like to do when I'm feeling like I can't start is to just do it right then and there, right? So you might have these thoughts like, oh, I really need to start exercising again. Perfect time to just do 10 squats or maybe even like 10 jumping jacks. So really just break that pattern is in the moment. I know it can be a little bit embarrassing, but it really helps you build that momentum, right? So now that we've talked about what you identify as your barriers, let's talk about your motivations. Everyone has different factors that motivate them. For example, one person might be motivated to lose weight, like for an event, like a wedding, and another might be motivated to reduce health complications from heart disease or diabetes, so on and so forth. It's important to recognize what motivates you. Really common shared motivation for everyone is to just want to stay healthy for your family, friends, and your loved ones, or maybe you have grandkids and you want to be around and be able to thrive and play with them. Each person's motivation looks different, but it's important to identify where your motivation lies because that's what's going to really give you that steam to push your momentum forward. It's also extremely important to not rely solely on motivation. Motivation can be temporary and can vary from day to day. I know that I personally have some days where I wake up feeling great and I just want to do all of my things and check off that list. And then there are other days where I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed, right? So creating those lifelong action steps are really key for living a healthy life and sustaining that long-term success. In order to create those action steps, you've got to be able to measure your success, right? So when following a health challenge, it's really important to have ways to measure your success. Some measures may be more difficult to identify than others, while others can be really easy. One of the most popular and widely used measurements that we're going to be talking about here is our BMI, or your body mass index, right? It's a measurement of your height to weight ratio, and it's an extremely common way to measure your weight status because it takes into account the overall body composition. The categories of BMI are as follows. So below 18.5 is considered underweight. 18.5 to 24.9 is normal or healthy weight. 25 to 29.9 is considered overweight, and then 30 or higher is actually considered obese. Body mass index does have some limitations, and they're going to be talked about a little bit later in the makeover. So, fun fact for you, weight loss and gain has a lot to do with your hormones, right? It's all about your hormones like insulin, leptin, and others. You're actually made perfectly for a purpose and for a plan. You came equipped with everything inside of you that you already need to be healthy. The only thing that we need to make sure that we do is we need to remove that negative interference and we can balance out those hormones. So one hormone in particular that I'm going to be talking about right now is leptin, right? Leptin is an extremely important hormone in the body's fat burning process. There's something called the leptin connection. So your leptin is actually produced by your body's fat cells. And the more fat that your body carries, the more leptin that your body produces, right? It's carried from the bloodstream into your brain, and then it sends a signal up into a place called your hypothalamus, right? And that controls how much you eat. And your fat cells tell your brain how much fat that you carry, right? So the high levels of fat Or high levels of leptin will tell your brain that you have plenty of fat stored and you don't need to eat very much. And then the low levels of leptin will tell your brain that you don't have much fat stored and your brain will need to eat. So that way, when you have high levels of leptin, your body will eat less and you'll start to burn more fat. And inversely, when you don't have high levels of leptin or when you have low leptin, you will signal your body to eat more and burn less fat, right? So this kind of system is called the negative feedback loop. But sometimes that feedback loop gets messed up, right? It's not effective. You can have so much leptin produced by your fat cells that your brain actually starts to build up a resistance to it. So all of those signals that you're getting in order for your body to eat less, right, and produce less fat or to burn more fat, they start to get mixed up. So your body still thinks that it needs to eat more, right? And then it's also going to stop burning as much energy on the back end because it thinks that it's starving, right? So what can you do in order to turn this around? What you need to do is you need to cut out the sugar and everything that turns to sugar. I'm talking your alcohol and your grains, right? Because how it works is that you get a really big rush of sugar or glucose into your bloodstream, which means that you're also going to get a really big rush of insulin, right? And insulin's job is to drive blood sugar out of your blood and into the cells where it can be used as energy. It also makes us hungry, right? So energy promotes fat storage as well, and remember that those fat cells are making leptin, right? You can also build up insulin resistance just like you have leptin resistance, which means that your body won't be as effective as getting that sugar out of your bloodstream and into the cells, right? So leptin actually has a really big effect on your insulin, your reproductive hormones, your thyroid hormones, your brain, and your liver, right? And it determines where your fat cells go, which is also really important because if you build up visceral fat, such as in your heart or your other organs, that can be really, really dangerous in comparison to your subcutaneous fat, which can be like underarms or your belly fat. Also, high leptin is pro-aging, pro-inflammatory, right? So inflammation causes a wide number of conditions in the human body, and it also inhibits bone growth and leads to a higher body temperature. And why am I talking about this right now, right? Or you might ask, like, why haven't I heard about this? And it's because of this. It's like care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life is not considered medically necessary. You can speculate all you want on why that is, but we're just here to give you the tools that you need in order to create some sustainable change on those goals for this New Year, New You webinar. So next we're going to be chatting about stress and weight gain, right? So for someone looking to lose weight, reducing stress is a really, really huge important factor that plays into weight loss as well. Cortisol is another one of those crucial hormones that can be released and that can stop the body from losing weight. Increased levels of cortisol in the body have been linked to weight gain as well, hindering your success, right? It can also increase cravings, right? And typically not for your advanced planned foods, right? It's going to be the foods that really hit those satiety centers, your bad foods, right? Comfort foods get their name for a reason. Think about the last time you were stressed. Chances are you didn't reach for some broccoli or maybe a celery stick. Like it was more likely something along the lines of chocolate or ice cream, right? So cravings for sugar and fattening foods are heightened during periods of time and stress leading to weight gain, which is why it's really important to manage your stress using some stress management techniques, right? But anyone who has managed stress knows that it's not as easy as it seems. I did a video about this on live the other day. Practicing effective stress management takes dedication, time, and practice. And it's really, really important to know what stress management techniques work for you as an individual. So definitely shop around and find out what your body needs in order to just be at its best. So some of those common stress management techniques include identifying the stressor, taking time to exercise, utilizing your friends and family, and not trying to do it all at one time. And then just taking a second to really breathe and take in the things that are stressing you, right? Acknowledge your body's needs, and then just take a moment to sit with it and be your own person, and then just continue to do what you need to do throughout your day. Thank you so much. So now we're going to pass you on to Dr. Osborne, and he's going to be giving you some information about our weight loss challenge.
So we just talked about the stressors. The one thing that I don't want you to be stressed about is the challenge, right? And so a lot of times we have people pay for this challenge. It's And you might be, this time, because of everything that as a country we're going through, we're actually going to be doing it at no charge. And we're giving you some amazing resources there. But I really want you to know that what there's the value that you are getting is for all the resources that you've already gotten is absolutely amazing. And I want you to think about this. A lot of times when you go to like a weight loss clinic, they can, they'll charge you, $5, $6, $7, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for a challenge like this. And this material is like the most material that we've ever given out when it comes to a challenge, because we want to make sure that you're successful. We have a 45-day plan, right? We have a 45-day written plan with all the accompanying resources that you'd need. Like we have an advanced plan book, and like it's an ebook. We also have a core plan book, an ebook with all the recipes in there that you'll need there. Like I said, we have the 45-day challenge packet that goes into depth with intermittent fasting, and it talks about hormones. It also talks about the plan for Monday through Friday, and then a different plan on Saturday and Sunday. And it also talks about, this plan is literally, like I said, people pay $3,000 for this type of plan. I'm not kidding about this. People will pay anything. In fact, there was a study that I read once that said that the average cost per pound of weight loss is about $300 per pound that people pay to lose weight there. And guess what? This is at no charge to you. It's at no charge to you because we believe in you. We believe that what we're doing right now is vital for our country to be able to heal and our families to be able to heal. And you have this at your fingertips. Not only that, you have a Max T3 plan in there. You have, we gave you a shopping guide list there. I just want to make you sure how absolutely valuable this is. But information without action has absolutely no value to that. So I think that the main thing that I want you to understand is that I want you to read each of these things there. I want you to, and we're going to walk you through the program, but I want you to spend the time putting in the effort, because what you put your effort into is what you're going to get the results there. And so with this challenge, we're going to have a group of people who are going through this, that are like-minded people, that are moving in a singular direction, right? And a lot of times when you pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, somebody's going to be holding your hand. But what that does is it creates a codependency. What we're going to be doing right now is we're going to do this with you, not for you. We've given you the resources and the accountability, and we want to spend time motivating you. But with something like this, what we don't need, and what we don't need more of, is just more hand-holding, right? What we want to be able to do is make sure that you have the resources, that you understand your resources, and all you got to do is follow the plan. Take action. And that's really what this is about. It's not just about knowing, and because you have the resources, right? We want you to walk away and be really successful. So for the next 45 days, and how long is it going to take to build a habit? Well, it's kind of very interesting, because the research shows that it's from somewhere between 18 and 245 days that it takes an individual person to build a habit. We're going to be doing that in 45 days. And that's why we developed the New Year, New You Makeover, is to challenge you. So for the next 45, we need you to have 45 days to win. Like, how would you like to look at yourself in the next 45 days? Would you want to be 20 pounds lighter? And we've seen it happen, like I said, with hundreds of times of people with our clinics all across the country. And you know why? Because these principles work. These principles work every time. Now, research shows that the standard time it takes, like I said, to build a habit is somewhere between 18 to 254 days. Of course, that varies based on the individual and the habit, which is why it's so broad. So life change, it doesn't end after 45 days, but your habits that you establish during this time, they're going to be and built during this time. Those are the things that are going to last. So I want you to take the next 45 days to practice the strategies that are needed, absolutely needed, for effective habit change. And a habit, like I said, it takes between 18 to 254 days technically to build a habit. a habit, like I said, takes between 18 to 254 days technically to build a habit. But like I said, we made this program for 45 days. Why? Because it's not 30 days to build a habit. It's not 21 days to build a habit. It's different for everyone. So we know that life change doesn't end after 45 days, but habits can be established and built during this time, these next 45 days. So take the next 45 days, practice the strategies that are necessary for effective habit change. All right, we're going to become lean, we're going to become mean, we're going to become fat burning, muscle building, disease killing machines, right? This is not about looking better, but this is about getting healthy. So guess what one of the side effects of looking better is? It's actually being healthy. So what I'm going to do right now is walk you through the materials and just kind of give you an idea of what this is. So like I said, over the next 45 days, we're going to build strong foundations. And I'm going to go through the pages here, and I'm going to have it up and like I said, a reference for the 45-day challenge. Weight loss is more than just calories in and calories out. Weight loss is more than just calories in and calories out. The 5 essentials, they play an absolutely key role in weight loss and other common New Year's resolutions. So during this 45-day challenge, like I said, we're going to discuss meals and nutritional deficiencies. We're going to discuss exercise and how to exercise. We're going to discuss a disciplined mindset. We're going to discuss how toxins interfere and how toxin reduction can have a massive impact on weight loss. And of course, we're going to discuss chiropractic care. All these factors working together, they're going to help ensure that they set you up for this ultimate success during the weight loss challenge. During the 45-day challenge, you will be utilizing both of our nutrition plans to promote optimal weight loss. So on Monday, Monday through Friday, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be following the advanced plan with intermittent fasting. And on Saturday and Sunday, you're going to be following the core plan. And what we'll be learning more about, the core plan and the advanced plan in a second, as well as intermittent fasting and the following next couple sections here. So pure and simple nutrition. See, a diet that focuses on a wide variety of foods helps to support your health from the inside out. Your diet affects your health in multiple ways, including your mental and physical well-being. It also aids in disease prevention, and it's going to help you maintain your ideal weight. So one of the things at Discover Chiropractic, our job is to not only tell people what to eat, but we want to be able to assess them to help create an outline of their unique needs for energy and resilience and immunity and overcoming and preventing disease. So good nutrition for a healthier life is done through the 5 essentials, and that's what they're built on. They're built on a principle that a healthy diet sustains well-being, it maintains an ideal weight, and helps prevent disease. And we know that what we eat affects how we feel. And we can contribute, and it contributes to, like I said, to diseases like heart disease and stroke and cancer. So diets in general that are high in grains and sugar or have an imbalance of a pH or omega-3s or are nutrient deficient, they all have negative effects on our body. Unhealthy diets, they can cause illnesses like disease and other symptoms. And that's one of the reasons why at Discover Chiropractic, we know that every person is different, so that we focus on rethinking our modern diet and understanding how changes in what we eat are directly tied to our today's healthcare challenges. So this plan actually makes eating smarter and easier, not harder, by rethinking the way that we look at fats and proteins and carbohydrates. So we use nutritional science and we focus on whole, natural foods to shape a diet that will help you reach your wellness goals and your health goals. So at Discover Chiropractic, our Max Living nutrition programs go beyond weight loss. And the plan aims to improve your body's composition and helping increase your body's muscle to fat ratio and like I said, your overall health. So when we approach nutrition with a focus on science, right, and eating natural whole foods, these nutrition programs will fit any need, from those looking to lose weight to high intensity, high performance athletes that just want to take their training to the next level. But the best part about it Natural food is good to eat. It's easy to prepare. Our recipes that you have are designed to give you the best benefits, the best health benefits without sacrificing freshness or flavor or high quality, or sacrificing your high quality nutraceuticals. We have those to help you fill any of the nutrition gaps. And I don't want to say weight loss challenge, by the way, because one of the keys during this challenge is what you do Monday through Friday and incorporating the habits of what we call the advanced plan. In a second, I'm going to explain the advanced plan, but on Monday through Friday, basically, here's the overview. It's the advanced plan with intermittent fasting, and then on Saturday and Sunday, it's the core plan. And I think these two eating plans, they're designed specifically for you to be able, like I said, and they're designed to fit most individual needs, but they're also designed to be sustainable. And when you look at the advanced plan, it's very similar to a ketogenic plan, but there's a big fundamental difference. It's about making you healthy. And I think a lot of times we get caught up on keto, and it's all about, like keeping us in ketosis there. It's very difficult. The core and the advanced plan, they're just two comprehensive eating plans designed to fit most individual needs. And these plans differ according, like I said, to the needs of each person, ultimately setting you up for success. The core plan is for everyone. There's 3 core principles that are the foundation for the nutrition plans, regardless of age, gender, background, or medical history. So following the plan results, on the core plan, results in healthy, thriving families. The 3 principles of the core plan, first of all, is fat, healthy fat versus damaged fat. Eating more healthy fats and eliminating all damaged fats. Protein, naturally versus unnaturally raised, right? Go organic and go natural for all of your animal products. When we talk about carbohydrates, there's a difference between whole carbohydrates versus refined carbohydrates. We want you to eat more vegetables and eliminate the refined carbohydrates. But what I want to start with is, like I said, the core plan, it focuses on reacquainting you and yourself and understanding your nutritional needs. Most of the time, we've been so far off for so long that we don't even know what good nutrition is. So when you're on the core plan, you're eating the healthy fats. You're not eating any of the damaged fried fats. You're eating naturally raised animal proteins. The core plan, you're allowed to have whole grains and ancient grains. Now, a lot of times people are wondering, what the heck's an ancient grain? So I put a list together in the cheat sheet, but just think about this. Like there's a difference, like the difference between wild rice and white rice. Okay, white rice or brown rice, right? Like there's a difference between the two, and we're going to talk about that more. But a lot of times what we find is that when we start to make some of those shifts from those ancient grains to the processed ones, what'll make a difference. But make sure you review the cheat sheet, review the challenge packet that'll have more information in there. Also, you can also look into the Align Your Health book. There's a whole section on the core plan and the advanced plan and breaks that out there. So I want you to eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. And the core plan is something that you can do for a lifetime. And you can also do it within the challenge. You're gonna get an ebook that's filled with all the recipes that are core plan approved, and you'll see the difference between those two, the actual 2 plans. Each of them has unique goals and a unique lifestyle associated with it. Now, the advanced plan, this is really for those people that need short-term dedicated diet to losing weight, minimizing interference from disease. They got detox issues, or they need to gain additional support for their brain and their metabolic or their immune system. This is during these COVID times, it's a great solution, a great place to live right now if you want to make sure that your immune system is functioning. It also works as a great long-term solution. It just takes more discipline in most people's lives, but it all depends on what your vision is for your life, right? So similarly to the core plan, the advanced plan actually includes eating more healthy fats while eliminating the damaged fats. When we're choosing those naturally raised animal proteins, the main difference, though, between the core plan and the advanced plan is that the advanced plan eliminates all grains. Yes, it's gluten-free because grains have gluten in them. And by the way, for a topic for a different time, just because something's gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy. It eliminates all sugars, and it includes only low-sugar fruits like berries and Granny Smith apples, and they're only to be eaten early in the day. The idea is to reduce consumption of inflammatory foods and promote the use of fat instead of sugar to fuel the body. So the advanced plan expands on the core plan, and it really, like I said, helps to address a wide range of metabolic challenges, including things like cognitive dysfunctions like ADD and ADHD. A lot of our autism patients are on the advanced plan. Disorders such as metabolic syndrome, including obesity and high cholesterol and high triglycerides, a high or low blood sugar, high insulin, high blood pressure, heart disease, and high leptin. Even our modern day illnesses, right? The ones that we created, including chronic fatigue syndrome, toxicity, fibromyalgia, and immune and inflammatory diseases such as cancer and autoimmune diseases, digestive dysfunction or intolerance to grains, asthma, and even arthritis. One of the biggest differences is that you're able, like I said, able to eat fruits and berries, but it's all low sugar fruits. And that's one of the key differences, like I said, between the keto and the advanced plan. The keto, you get thrown out of keto when you stop producing ketones when you eat one berry. So like I said, the biggest difference, yes, you can eat berries, but also the focus is on quality. It's not about just getting you to a lab value of ketones. It's about having you eat healthy for a lifetime. So yes, no pesticides, no herbicides. You're not spraying your foods. You don't want to eat genetically modified foods. You're going for foods that if you saw the previous webinar, you're eating for life. So foods by God, not foods by man. So you're loading up on foods that are nutrient rich, nutrient dense, and things that are going to be, like I said, life-giving for your body. So I guess that, like I said, the similarities between the advanced plan and the core plan, both of them have a foundation of eliminating toxicity and minimizing as best as you possibly can those toxicity and toxins there. Both have a foundation in good and healthy fats, and we need them, and our brain needs those healthy fats because our nervous system is coated with fat, and our hormones need healthy fat, and both of them focus on life-giving food. But the idea is that both is to reduce the consumption of inflammatory foods that promote, that promote inflammation, right? The inflammation's a breeding ground for sickness and disease. Now, usually we'd have something called Shop with the Doc, and this is when we take you into the store. Well, last time we took people into Sprouts, and we take you through the whole store and teach you how to shop. Unfortunately, during COVID times, we can't do that. So what we did is we put together a grocery shopping guide with you for all of your materials, and we're going to try to post later the last Shop with the Doc if you want to be able to follow that along, okay? So breakfast is called breakfast for a reason. What happens is overnight, we essentially put our bodies onto what we call a fast, right? We put our bodies into a fast while we're sleeping. So it's critically important that we actually, in the morning, we flood our bodies with healthy, nutritious foods when we have what we call break our fast. So here's one breakfast idea that we use all the time, and it's a protein smoothie. So we're going to workshop this a little bit during this makeover here, okay? So what does that actually mean? And let's go through the logistics of it. The number one question is where do I start, right? So if we're just starting with breakfast, let's say breakfast is really, like I said, is breaking a fast. It doesn't mean that you have to have breakfast or break your fast at 6 a.m. It doesn't mean that you can't have intermittent fasting and have breakfast at 11 or 12 p.m. Breakfast is just your first meal of the day, regardless of when you have it. So we're just talking about breaking your fast right now, not about changing cultural norms. But when you do break your fast, how do you break your fast? So first of all, I recommend you start with the most nutrient-rich foods that you can to break your fast. With high protein, higher fat is going to be ideal. So starting with something that's easy to digest, it's going to bathe your organs with nutrients. It's going to be your best possible option. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend starting with a protein shake. Now, whether that's a grass-fed whey protein shake or like one of our plant proteins or our pure path proteins, it's got to be 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, by the way. And it's not some sort of protein isolate. And you see a lot of these protein isolates right now. And for the longest time, it was touted to be healthier for you. But now we know that protein isolates, they can actually have an inflammatory impact in your body. It's not a whole food. Anyways, it's isolated in a lab in order to create it. So you're not getting the most bang for your buck, and you're not necessarily getting the fat content that you should be getting. And anyways, you might be saying, well, why do I want that? I'm trying to lose weight. Why? Well, fat helps you lose weight. And the more you know about that, the more you're going to recognize that good, healthy fat is absolutely essential. You need fat to burn fat. I know it's counterintuitive to what you've been told, but if you watch the webinar that we did a couple weeks ago, you'll have a better, we call it webinar 1, it's on your resources page, you'll have a better understanding of that. But good, healthy fat, it's going to help you burn fat, help your fat come off fast. And the first thing to start with, like I said, is a healthy smoothie. We recommend, the same thing for my family, right? We do the same Max Living proteins, and I gotta let you know. Look, I have access to, as a provider, to every imaginable protein, right? Every imaginable supplement, and I want you to know that when it comes to providers, we get these big provider discounts sometimes. And so my family, we could literally use any protein powder that we wanted to, and we could get any supplements that we wanted to. And the reason why over the past, 15 years that we've chosen the Max Living brand is not only did I participate in the creation of it, but I know it's a brand that I know and that I trust, and I know where, what goes into the manufacturing, and we know what happens behind the scenes with integrity, and I know what's going into it. So to me, it's a trusted brand. And yes, the protein is 100% grass-fed and grass-finished. It's not sweetened with, it's with sugars or anything like that. It's sweetened with stevia. So there's a lot of different reasons, but what it really comes down to is trusting your brand and knowing the brand and knowing that, that the integrity that stands behind the product there. So if you read my book, 21 Day Transformation, we talked a lot about intermittent fasting. So we're going to actually talk about intermittent fasting right now. And like we said, the concept is Monday through Friday, we're going to be on the advanced plan, and we're going to be doing intermittent fasting. Now, the question is what is intermittent fasting? So if you haven't read the book, I've actually included a copy of it in your resources page there. But intermittent fasting has been used for literally thousands of years. But the research supports its benefits for a tremendous amount of health conditions, a lot of health reasons, including weight loss. Intermittent fasting can be practiced in a lot of different ways, including doing it full days or not eating for specific hours. But the most popular method of intermittent fasting is what's called the 16-8 method, which includes 8 hours per day of eating and fasting for 16 hours a day, which includes sleeping. So usually the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting, that it involves skipping breakfast and then eating lunch and dinner, and avoiding snacking or anything like that. Or you can skip dinner altogether. Skipping dinner tends to be a little bit more difficult for most people, especially if it's their first time fasting, because they have difficulty sleeping on an empty stomach. But if you do have difficulty sleeping on an empty stomach, you actually might be a carb burner and not a fat burner yet. And when you can, it's called fat adapted. So the idea is to get to a place where you're burning fat for fuel. And that's the idea. You're burning fat as your primary source of energy, and you're taking away your fat energy storage, right? Storage is stored as sugar stored as glycogen, and glycogen is is the stored glucose over time. So you want to dig into those glycogen stores, and how do we do that? Well, one is to cut the sugar, and it's first start by doing that, and then the things that turn into sugar, like your grains and your breads and your pastas. I want you to cut those things especially when it comes to sodas or drinks that are sugary. So you would start with that, and then you load up on good, healthy fats. And that's why the advanced plan has a very heavy emphasis on that. And then the intermittent fasting. So incorporating intermittent fasting is going to have a huge impact on your hormones. And so how does that impact your hormones? Well, here's how it does have an impact on your hormones. When you eat, you have, if whatever you eat, even if it's protein and fat, you're going to initially have a spike of glucose or energy within your body. Now, there's a hormonal response to that happens every single time. So that when these hormones respond, they're going to shoot up, and this insulin, probably even leptin, and another hormone, we'll call it ghrelin. And so when you're actually fasting, the hormone called ghrelin will just kick in. But what happens is every time that we snack in between meals, what we're doing is we're creating this cascade of events, this cascade of hormones within the body that then goes to work. And what happens is if we're constantly feeding, or we have that constant glucose that's coming in, what happens is our body never learns to dig deep into the glycogen stores and add in and access those reserves. So part of what you're doing with intermittent fasting is retraining your brain to access fat. And I'm going to say that again. Part of what you're doing is training your brain, retraining your brain to actually learn how to access fat. So 16-8 method of intermittent fasting is one way of doing it. Another is what we call OMAD, or one meal a day. And it's exactly how it sounds. 24-hour time frame. You're just simply eating one meal during that time frame. And most of the time, people start with dinner. So dinner is at 6, let's say, come back around the next day and you don't have another meal until 6. Again, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7, whatever it is. But there's a profound way to, fasting is a profound way to influence your hormones and really kickstart your weight loss and really build a healthy relationship with food. So I do want you to, when you get a chance, to actually reference the 21-Day Transformation book there. So let's discuss what supplements that are included in your 45-day challenge. First one is metabolic burns. Second one is pro-L-carnitine. And we talk about the grass-fed whey protein. And then the max keto bars or the keto chews there. So most of you might not be familiar with metabolic burn. And I don't like to call it a nutraceutical or nutraceutical supplements. I like to call them support. And what they're there is they're there to support you towards the progress to your goals. And so one of the things that as Americans we don't really do is consume as many herbs and spices as other cultures. So we're not getting nearly the amount of herbs or adaptogenic herbs that other cultures do. And that's really one of the reasons why metabolic burn works so well to help kickstart your weight loss. It's like a metabolic spring. And if you look at the back of the metabolic burn and you read what it has to say, you'll see that it has adaptogenic herbs, which is going to help you boost and support a healthy metabolism. You also see it's got vitamins and minerals and plant extracts. People that use it think that it's a stimulant because it might be causing your core temperature to increase, so they might start sweating a little bit more. But they also report that they start to see the weight coming off easier. And the reason being is that it's kickstarting your metabolism through this metabolic spring process. And that's really why it works so well. And it's basically those adaptogenic herbs remove a lot of those interferences to your metabolism because of all the different stresses that we've been under, and it just encourages better metabolic function. It's also going to help fight food cravings, which is really cool, and it's a really great supplement for anyone looking to just add that extra boost of healthy eating there. So it helps with a healthy metabolism. It helps with fat loss and balances your cravings. So if you have more questions, I'm going to just encourage you to go to the resource page that we set up for you. And there's a great video there explaining more. It's also has things like green tea and guarana. And all these things have been well researched to stimulate a healthy metabolism. I would even say that they boost a healthy metabolism. Now, in regards to L-carnitine, a lot of people have heard about it because it's so popular out there in the weight loss space. And I always get the question, what supplements do I need to actually in order to lose weight? Well, first of all, you don't need supplements to lose weight. There's things that you can take to support you in your weight loss. But if you just type in, into any search engine, L-carnitine, it'll always spit back out, it's something in weight loss, right? If you remember back in school, you'll remember them talking about L-carnitine because it breaks down fat into usable energy. And you'll probably remember that it helps fight off free radicals and inflammation. So it's an incredibly important amino acid that most people are deficient in, especially people that have acute or chronic illness. Their reserves can become depleted, and a lot of times this will cause muscle wasting. Or people that actually have thyroid imbalances, many times have carnitine levels their carnitine levels at our stores are actually lowered. The great thing about carnitine is it metabolizes fat and energy for the body to use. So think of, when we're talking about skeletal muscle, think of cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle stores a tremendous amount of carnitine, and so the heart uses a lot of carnitine, and that's why carnitine is a really, really good heart-healthy supplement. Animal protein is the thing that supplies carnitine in the diet. So when we have our vegans and our vegetarians, they're usually going to be deficient, and that's one of the reasons why they can get some muscle wasting there. It's also an antioxidant, which a lot of people don't know about because it helps. And what it does is it helps to target free radicals and oxidation, which is super cool. So I found that L-carnitine, when used, not only just helps with metabolism, but it actually helps you recover better after a workout. So let's say that you have an intense workout and you're sore. It can actually improve muscle and repair and reduce that soreness. And I found it's really good for a lot of good reasons, but it's just not just good for my athletes, but really for anyone who wants to lose weight. All right, let's talk about protein. Grass-fed whey protein fuels your body with good nutrition loaded with 18 essential and non-essential amino acids, right? Amino acids are what your body rebuilds itself with. It's derived from year-round grass-fed, pasture-raised cow's milk. And our formula is free of hormones, free of pesticides and herbicides. So I want you to make sure that you enjoy, when you're taking your shakes, you enjoy this delicious nutrient-packed powder that also provides enzymes and probiotics and prebiotics to actually improve digestion and overall health. See, it's an ideal protein powder for literally everyday health, for an enhanced exercise recovery. And like I said, it's fortified with additional vitamins and minerals, and it really promotes the optimal intake of proteins and fats into your body. So some of the things that the research shows about grass-fed whey protein, and it boosts metabolism, it improves athletic performance, it promotes general detoxification, and more importantly, it decreases inflammation. Now, when we talk about grass-fed protein, this is what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of questions about protein because you can't really go to any big box store and find protein, like good healthy proteins at this point. But the questions you got to ask yourself when you're looking at protein: is it a whole food source? Is it a whole food nutrient? Is it completely grass-fed, finished 100% start to finish? Is it from pasture-raised cows? Is it free of hormones? Is it, like I said, free of pesticides? So I think that the important thing though is that it's also able to stimulate detoxification. So we got to remember that the maximized living whey, the grass-fed protein, has enzymes and the prebiotics and the probiotics. Like I said, this is an ideal food base. It's a good standard, especially if you're having a hard time finding healthy proteins there for your diet. So like I said, it's an ideal way just to get up every day in the morning, start your breakfast off. Remember, you break your fast. So I think that this is a great way for you to kind of figure out how to start your day, right? Shake it up, wake it up. So I guess the question, there's always in the recipe book, there's great recipes for you, but a lot of times I want you to know how I live and what I find to be the most effective, right? And I find if I tell you how I live, it's the most effective way to lead. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to show you what I do and what we have experienced in our clinic. And I think if you've done this long enough, you're going to have a lot of, like us, we had enough experience. But what does it mean to lead from the front, right? It means to lead from experience. And so I just want you to know you are what you ate. And that's not a typo, right? You are what you ate. Grass-fed greens are much higher in omega-3s, grain-fed, which are highly skewed with omega-6s. And that's one of the problems in the American diet. The smaller graph shows that the omega-3 fat content diminishes the longer a cow's in a feedlot. And after just one feeding of grain, the ratios actually get skewed. So that's why you have to check to make sure that your grass-fed beef is truly 100% grass. Much of the grass-fed beef is just grain finished. So here's what I want to teach you. Why grass-fed? Why is that even important? It's because because who you are is not what you. It's not what your food ate, right? It's not what you eat. It's what you eats, right? So you are what those cows ate. And the cows weren't intended to eat a bunch of grains. They were intended to eat alfalfa, and they're intended to eat hay. And this is so much higher in omega-3s. So if you study regenerative farming, or if you've been to a regenerative farm, they'll tell you about their cows, and the grass-fed cows, they're more lean. They might take longer to grow, but But as far as they are, as far as much their nutrition goes, they're much healthier when it comes to their omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. Grain-fed cows, their ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s are completely skewed. Those cows are highly inflamed. They have to take antibiotics. They have to take vaccines just to be able to make it through that feedlot. Now, we all know that we have omega-6s and omega-3s, and if we have them inside of our body, when the ratios are off, there literally is just, it creates havoc there. Too much omega-6s, you're just going to get a tremendous amount of inflammation. And inflammation, as you know, is one of the root causes for sickness and disease, including arthritis and things like cancer and things like heart disease, things like dementia. So it should be one of your highest priorities to make sure you're not doing anything to our body that's going to cause inflammation, that's going to cause a skewing of those ratios there. If you do have questions, you can always just ask us. We have a test called a brain span. It's just a finger prick test. It'll give you a reading for the ratio of what your omega-3 to omega-6 is and how it's affecting your brain. So I want to just talk a little bit about grass-fed. Most people think that they're getting the benefits of grass-fed beef only to find out that to be considered grass-fed, only 30% of the feed has to be grass. The rest can be corn finished. And the only way to ensure the full benefits is to just consume grass-fed beef, 100% grass-fed beef. And like I said, when they find out, that they're actually only getting grass finished, they're like, okay, no wonder why I haven't been feeling the way that I expected to feel. So I just want you to make sure that if you are going to consume grass-fed beef, it's 100% grass-fed beef. Now, let's talk about fasting. You should start your day off with what? With breakfast, right? It's called breaking a fast and doing intermittent fasting and all of that. And you'll hear some people say, well, I need calories, right? And how am I going to get through the day without calories? Or maybe you're an athlete and you run distance and you need calories, or maybe you're a diabetic and you're just like, hey, how do I do what I do? I don't feel like I can fast. I'm not going to struggle with that. Well, there's several different philosophies in it, and everyone's going to be, going to be different for everyone. And I guess that's the caveat. Some people, they need to learn to become fat adapted. Some people need to learn, like if you've been struggling with diabetes and blood sugar issues, that sometimes it's how to learn how to become fat adapted and become a fat burner. Now at this point, there's going to be a physical struggle with that. So, and I get that. There's other people who literally, they just struggle so much, and they're like, if you're one of these people who are like, hey, I'm going to give up if this gets too hard, the number one challenge that you have to change is your mindset. The number two, maybe there's some resources out there that can help you in the meantime. A couple of things that I have found for people that are healthy snacks. So if you're an athlete or somebody who's a diabetic, or you feel like you need calories, well, then there's the Max Keto Bar. And it's just been fantastic. I mean, these things in my office actually fly off the shelf. I consume them all the time. My team consumes them. And I think they think they're sneaking it because the inventory is always a little off, right? But no, it's because I'm eating them so much that I forget to take it out of inventory. But these things are so stinking tasty. They taste like a Snickers bar. So it's actually kind of dangerous, but it's just a healthy snack, and it's been formulated with the whole keto diet in mind, and that's why they're called keto bars. It's just an excellent snack for anyone looking to fuel their body with quality, sustainable nutrients. These bars actually can contain about 15 grams of healthy fat from coconut and almond butter and cacao, and they're made with cacao and cacao butter, and there's about 10 grams of protein that comes from pumpkin seeds and hemp in there. So there's really only 2 net grams of carbs. So they're a great healthy snack, a great source of protein supply, a great energy go-to. And like I said, they're a great source of healthy fats. Now the Max Keto Chews, you'll notice that this is a newer thing, and you haven't seen these Max Keto Chews before or to experience them for yourself. So you got to know what these things taste like. And once again, they're just stinking delicious. I think they're actually dangerous because they're so good. But these chews, they're not just good for people following keto or the advanced plan. It's a great low-carb treat for anyone who wants to reduce their sugar intake. It's good for kids, and like I said, it's fairly new. But it's made without sugar, which is a fairly new, with new sweeteners, which are fairly new. But it has almost zero effect on your blood sugar. So try these things out for yourself. like I said, I use this a lot for my athletes that are having difficulty with their blood sugar and or people that maybe get dizzy when their blood sugar gets a little bit low, or they feel like they're going to give up there. So if you have any questions on this, just type it in. But we have the resources on your landing page there. But this is a great meal replacement in between, when you're trying to fast or when you're trying to start to develop yourself into becoming fat adapted into this window. All right.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot, Dr. Osborne. All right, so now we know what that challenge looks like, what we're going to actually try to give you guys to do. Now, remember we talked, when I was first on, we talked a little bit about you got to have the vision. The challenge is a vision. It's an opportunity for you to get things going, create the habits. It gives you a goal. It gives you a place to travel. Remember I talked about your why is the engine, and the vision is where we're going and what it looks like. And the challenge gives you a place to go. It's a destination. Now, let's talk about some of the tools and some of the more important things here. And that is, how do you start the habits? And having helped a lot of people over the years, one of the things that I've really discovered is that most people take too big of a bite. You know that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? And you say, one day or one bite at a time, right? Most people take the health food challenge, they get fired up, they get ready. I'm changing my life. It's the new year. I'm going for this thing. I'm going to really make this thing happen big. And the first thing they do is they make a big bite. And you end up choking on that big bite. Let me show you what I mean. People will come in the office and say, that's it. I've had enough. I'm drawing the line. I'm changing my life. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm going to go for a 4-mile run. I'm only going to eat raw food for the next 2 months of my life. I'll lift weights at lunch. They might even go the extra step, by the way, which is really nice, is they'll write it all down, which is what I'd recommend you do too. That's that whole setting goals with my kids. What does it look like? What's that vision in 5 years? What does it look like in a year? What's it look in 2 years, 3 years? Lay it out. They might even lay it out. I'm going to do this. I'll tell you a funny story. I had a patient come in years ago who told me that he was an ultra marathoner. I was really stunned. Ultra marathoner, people that run further than marathons, 100-mile runs, the Western State runs. It runs from Squaw Valley up in Tahoe down to Auburn. These are long runs, 20, 24-hour running. And as I got to know him, I asked him, I was super impressed. I said, wow, how many marathons have you done? And he said, none. I thought, wait. I thought you were doing ultramarathons. Well, he has never done an ultramarathon. He had never done a marathon. He had never even ran a 10K. So I liked the vision that he had. To say it was a big bite would be an understatement. To say I'm going to jump right into being an ultramarathoner. I mean, what I would have liked to have seen on his maybe 5 or 10 year goal sheet, on his health sheet, that, hey, I want to run an ultramarathon. I think that's a totally legitimate goal. It's a big one, but it's a legitimate one that should be out there. But there weren't small bites. What I would have liked to have seen on him was, hey, my goal is to one day run an ultramarathon. But on my path to getting to that spot, right? On my way to getting to that spot, I need to run a 10K. I need to know how to train. He knew what he wanted, but and then believe it or not, he never did it. I don't know if we ever got into his why or not, but remember, the why is the engine that drives it. So one thing I would recommend was we set your goals for this, is to set these small goals and enjoy them. In high school football, one of my favorite coaches ever was our football coach. And I remember him teaching us a lesson. He had told us, he said, when you guys score touchdowns, act like you've been there before. Act like you've been there before. Stay calm. Every year I've coached sports, I always tell the kids or whatever I'm coaching, never too high and never too low. We're going to stay consistent. This is a big, big problem. And most people, when we look at health goals, you will eat a bad meal. You'll give yourself the depression, the angst, the hatred for messing up at, say, a level 7 out of 10. That creates chemistry in your brains. It creates bad feelings for you. You've punished yourself at a 7 or 10. They'll have a good day where you eat really well. And you won't celebrate at the same level. You'll celebrate like at a 2. That creates chemicals in your brain, positive, happy, good chemicals that are going to reinforce the habit. It's a really big one for habits. You got to know how to celebrate evenly for your brain. See, the habit thing that we're trying to get you to do here is change your life. And the first thing you have to do is get the habits. Listen, I was driving to work early one day, and I drove past a guy and he was out running at about 5 a.m. in the morning, and it was pouring rain. Man, was I impressed with that guy. But I'll tell you what, I can almost guarantee you that was not his first day out running. He was not running in his old sweatpants from high school and his dress shirt. He had all the gear. This guy had been running for a long time. Very rarely do you see people change health habits by making the hardest step first. I got up this morning at 5 a.m. to go swim. Now, it was below freezing this morning when I got up and went out. And I was there with a couple other friends who I swim with all the time. We work out together. And I can tell you, having swam for over 30 or 40 years of my life, it's not the first time I got out of the pool. It's not the first time I've got up early to get into a pool. Now, do I like it? No. But what I definitely want is I don't want to spend the whole day thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't swim, I didn't work out yet. So that habit is so burnt into me that I wanted to do that, but I didn't start that way. So we have to start with small goals. Reachable goals. We want to celebrate the short-term goal when we get there. It's okay. I don't care how small the goal is. Listen, I've had people, I said, your goal is to take a 5-minute walk every day for the next 30 or 45 days because that's how long it's going to do to create your habit of working out. Let me give you an example, and some of you have heard me say this before. If you want to create a habit, like if I said, I want you to eat a cupcake every day, that's not a hard habit to get. You know why? Because every time you eat it, the sugar it goes to your brain center, your pleasure centers go off. Wow, that is great. That's an easy habit. Your brain's like, I can do that every day. I'll even up the ante. Every time you eat that cupcake, you're going to get a full body massage at your house. The massage therapist is going to come. It's going to be great. Listen, that's not a hard habit at all to create, at all. I think we would all take that. Now, let me switch it for you. What if I said, I want you to create a habit of eating a cupcake every single day? But every time you eat that cupcake, that massage therapist is going to show up. But this time he's got a 2x4 and he's going to hit you in the side of the head with it. Now, I see you out there. I know what you're laughing at. Nobody wants that habit. You know why? Because the first day you eat the cupcake, your brain's going to go, that was great. And when he hits you in the side of the head, you're going to think, well, that wasn't very good. And your brain's immediately on a survival mechanism going to tell you, I don't want to do that again. I definitely don't want that. Whatever that was, I don't want it. So the next day, when the cupcake is presented to you, your brain goes, I like cupcakes, but I don't want that. The cupcake's the goal, right? The cupcake is the goal. I want to be healthy. I want to live a long time. How do I get that? Well, if I want that cupcake, I got to get hit in the head. My brain says, I don't think that's going to happen. And boom, just like that, the habit's gone. And you move on to another week, another month, or another year, 5 years or 10 years of losing health potential, not reaching the big goal that you really wanted, which was quality of life and spending time, and your why. What was the why that drove you there? You can't get hit in the head with a 2x4 every time you set up health goals. I took over the Saratoga High School water polo program. I told you that. They had lost every game. You know what I did the first season? Is I had to change those boys' mental attitude. They were losing all the time. You know what we did? I knew we couldn't beat many teams around here, so we traveled. We went to Santa Cruz area. I knew we could win over there. I drove them to Sacramento where I grew up. I knew we could get some wins there. We traveled around where I knew we could be competitive, and I started changing them. They started enjoying competing. They started realizing that they're winners. They got the ball rolling, and that team lost in the CCS finals. That team was amazing because they just learned for 4 years how to win. You have to take that approach. With these health tips we're giving you, you've got to take that approach. This is not something you just jump in. The marketing on the health stuff is ridiculous. Right? You just eat this or just exercise like this. And they have that picture of that perfectly healthy person standing there. And you think, I want that, but you don't know how to use the tool. You got to know how to use the tools. And the tool in this situation are all the 5 essentials. You got them, but you got to create the habits in them. Like I mentioned, the vegan bodybuilder. It's okay to cheat a little on the diet, but you got to be in control. Who's in control of your diet? And that comes from habits and consistency. And that comes with the first process I want you guys to all learn. Listen, here's the secret sauce to this whole thing. It's not about losing weight. It's not about getting in shape right off the bat. That's not what it's about. It's about creating the habits. It's about becoming the monster. It's about being the person who's consistent. And if you think for 1 minute that your consistency is going to come tomorrow, I'm going to start eating amazingly healthy. I'm going to start, boom, tomorrow I'm eating the optimal food plan and I'm doing it and I'm exercising. And if you think that happens that easy, it doesn't happen that way. You have to take it in small bites. Remember, the elephant is eaten in small bites, not big bites. Big bites choke you, boom, and you don't go forward. So we have to celebrate. I want you to remember, we're going to set small goals. You got to do this. You got the worksheet. You're going to do this. You got to write this down. We're giving you the resources. We got a ton of help for you. We're going to be there to talk you through. By the way, if you're not a patient and you come in, which I'm going to encourage you to in a little bit, you got to come through. We're going to plug you on the same thing. I'll give you a program. If you follow through that program, I'm going to give you a different program. If you follow through that, I'll break it down to a smaller thing. Listen, if I have to have you walk for 1 minute every day to create a habit, eventually we'll get you doing more. But it has to start more and you have to be consistent. But if the habit's bad, it's not going to do it. Remember, your brain is up there evaluating everything you do all the time. And it's thinking, do I really want that or do I not want that? Okay? So we're going to start creating habits. We're going to do celebrating on those small goals. Okay? What does that mean? That means tomorrow, if you guys say, you know what, I'm going to get up and walk for 5 minutes like Dr. Sherry said, that's awesome. You tell yourself, that was a great win for me today, right? Great win. I'm moving forward. You do it 2 days in a row. Hot dog, I'm on fire. Like, celebrate that. Tell your brain your brain's like your dog, just like your dog. We're all got dog brains. You just tell your dog, you did a great job. It'll wag its tail. It's super happy and it'll do it again tomorrow. It's all about creating those habits and celebrating those small ones. Now, one thing I want to mention to you guys is there's a number out there that I want to talk to you about. We talked about obesity early on. And one of the numbers some people will come in and ask is what's called the BMI, okay? And it's an index of how we measure people's body weight to their height. To be honest, I like it, but I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. What it is basically a calculation of the person's weight divided by their height squared, and it gives us a number. And from that number, we can come up with a range of people being healthy or unhealthy. For instance, if that number for you, so you take your weight, this is in kilograms. So if you still want to pause this and write it down, you take your weight in kilograms, and if we know it in pounds, you can convert it. You divide it by your height in meters squared, okay? That'll give you a number. If your number is in between 18.5 to about 24.9, that's what they call healthy. Now, the problem that we have with this number, and by the way, I'd recommend you all do it. I'm big on data. I think the more data you have, the more you keep track of these, the more things you can motivate, I'm all for it. So run your BMI. Here's where the BMI gets a little tricky though. The BMI, if you're a bodybuilder, for instance, you're 5'8" and you weigh 225, you're going to light up on the BMI as obese. You weigh a lot and you're not very tall, you're going to be off the chart on the BMI, you'll be rated as obese. But clearly you're not obese, you're in great shape. That's where the whole body fat, the amount of fat on a person, needs to be calculated in. But I always like to mention that because when we start getting you in here and you start looking at, I'm going to do the challenge, okay? Now, hey, real quick on the challenge. I need you to be successful in the challenge. And that means if you need to modify a little bit, talk to us. We can make some modifications if we need, but I need you to be successful. Okay, no getting hit in the head with a 2x4 on this challenge. If you take a look at that BMI, it's a really good thing to measure and kind of keep track of it, but keep in mind there's some errors there, okay? But that's where the percent body fat, you take a look at someone's body fat, gives you a better feel for where they are health-wise. Now, my next slide, we're gonna change this up. We're gonna talk about some of the things that I want you to also include. We talked about the essentials earlier, the 5 essentials, and one of the things we have in our diet, and we mentioned that there's not a lot of healthy food and the things we get addicted to and things, is the nutrition thing, the nutrition essential. And we need to also supplement on some of these things. At our office, we use what we call the daily essentials. Listen, the Maximize Living came out with this, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, and I love it. I love that they finally did this. They're individual packets that are taken daily. And I just want to go through, because you guys will see it, they're in boxes in our office. You can see them. There's the daily essentials for men. There's also the daily essentials for women. It made it a lot easier than buying the individual bottles and trying to piece this whole thing together. They took basically the most important ones and laid them in there for us. So I just want to go through what's in the daily essentials, because as we get you going, believe it or not, one of the habits that I think is really important is taking your supplements every morning and every day. Because what that is, it's another habitual thing that is in there. And it's a good one. First of all, remember I'm telling you, I need you to get wins. I need wins. And if you taking your vitamin supplements every day, whether it's morning or night, you take them every day, A, it's easy. B, it creates the positive reinforcement in your brain that, hey, I just won another thing. I did it. This one's not even hard to do. But there are a couple things that I always like to let people know. There's the multivitamin in there, which basically just gives you a good basic core vitamins that we all need in our body. That's number one. That's really good. The other thing in there is D3. Now, vitamin D3 is super important. Let me read some numbers. Do you realize over 70% of people who've come down with COVID had below normal levels of vitamin D? There's a lot of studies and articles we've been reading how important it is to bump up your vitamin D for COVID. It seems super important, but it doesn't surprise us because vitamin D has exposed a lot of people to health problems. In fact, there's about 1 billion people worldwide, we think, who are low on vitamin D. You know, another good way to get vitamin D is you lie in the sun. You got to get our bodies out. Our skin produces the vitamin D, okay? We estimate about 45% of Americans are low on vitamin D in their diet. It's a huge number for us. So vitamin D3 is in the daily box, and that also has the probiotics. The probiotics. I did a webinar maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Oh gosh, no, maybe almost a year ago now. Where we talked about probiotics, the microbiome. That's all the bacteria that line the intestines of our body and how important they are. So the probiotics are trying to replace some of those. So if they're damaged, you can reseed those. So I love that. The D3 probiotic is huge for us. Also, and there's a B complex. The B complex vitamins are really important to fight stress. All of us are under stress constantly. So the B vitamin complex is in there to help boost and defeat stress. A really, really important one also inside the multi is the omega-3 fatty acids. We've done a lot of workshops on that. There's the omega-3 fatty acids. They're a type of a fat that actually goes into our body and helps decrease the inflammatory response in our body. They're the fish oils. There's some other sources you can get, vegetarian type sources. The omega-6s, okay? So these are kind of a molecule of fat. We have a fat molecule that's called an omega-3. That's our good ones. The omega-6 fatty acids feed the inflammatory loop inside of our bodies in our chemistry. So if you want to be inflamed, you'd want to consume a lot of omega-6 fatty acids. If you don't, you want to consume more of the omega-3 fatty acids. These things also go in and create things like hormones and things that our body needs. The omega-6 fats are all over in our diet. Predominantly they come from corn, they're in meat, and the more that we eat, up goes our ratio. So I want to share something. I know we've talked about this many times, so if you guys haven't heard this, we believe the ratio of these two fats inside of our body. Okay, so I want to just go real slow through this. We want the ratio to be 1 omega-3 fatty acid to somewhere around 4 or 5 omega-6s. Okay, so 1 good fat to maybe 4 or 5 bad fats, right? When they've done research on Americans, it's kind of startling. They said if you're 1 to 10, they called that bad. If you're 1 to 15, they said you're doomed to have a health problem, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and almost all these inflammatory microcirculation diseases because your body's so inflamed. The average American is 1 to 22. That's a lot of omega-6s in there. So you've got to be getting omega-3s. You can't stop it at one spot, by the way. The answer, I tell this to some people and they go, oh, great, I'll just start taking the omega-3s. You do, but you have to also turn off the spigot on the other side. You can't keep consuming high foods or levels, high omega-6 foods in your diet. You can't chase it that way. You're going to have to increase your omega-3s, and that's why you'll see the omega-3 fatty acids, the fish oils in the dailies specifically for that, but you also dietarily wise need to cut out consuming a lot of those omega-6s. The other thing that's in there is the magnesium. Magnesium is a huge cofactor in our body. We estimate over 300 plus reactions inside the body. It regulates, listen to this list, it regulates muscle function, kind of important, blood function, I think most of us agree that's important. Protein synthesis, the making of proteins in our body, that's fairly important, I think. It helps regulate your blood pressure for most of us. If you're an American, that's important with heart disease going around. It also is required for energy production inside of the cells. The mitochondria, that's the little energy factory inside of our cells that produces energy. It plays a part in that. It's a good deal to have that in our body, at least to make sure we're getting it. So I love the Daily Essentials. I buy them for my family. I take them on a regular basis. I keep them going. I think they're really good. It's a really good base. There's another thing as we start exercising, another product that we have that I would like to throw out for you, and it's called Max Fit. You'll see it on our shelves. It is not in the Daily Essentials. By the way, real quick, we do have a Daily Essentials for men, and there is a Daily Essentials for women. There is a little difference. So you'll see those boxes up there. If you grab one, make sure you get the right one. On the Max Fit, what we're trying to do is help your body by maintaining your blood flow, your healthy blood sugar levels, also muscle building, as well as it really helps lose weight. So it's a good one if you're in the mode right now where we're going to do this challenge. I'm going to lose weight. The Max Fit is a great product to throw in on top of this whole program in that direction. So let's move on to our next slide here. We talked about that. Now the next thing I want to go through here fairly quickly is the exercise component of this. And so my undergrad, I have a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology, and I just love the study of exercise and how the body makes energy, how it burns things, what the muscles do. So there's a couple of things I want to share with you here when you talk about exercise that's super important. And the number one, if you get nothing more out of this workshop, this is a big one. Write this one down. The 80-20 rule. When we start talking about diet and health and losing weight and getting in shape, 80-20. So back in the 80s going through school, we used to, if you want to lose weight, you had to exercise, you had to exercise, you had to exercise. And I think most of you guys out there know you had to exercise a ton. That was the answer. Well, the 80-20 rule says this. If you want to get in shape and lose weight, it's 80% diet, 20% exercise. See, we've learned a lot over the years. You can't exercise your way out. What does that mean? Look at this. If you go to McDonald's, I had to write this down, so I'm going to read it. If you go to McDonald's, I'd heard this years ago that said if you want to eat at McDonald's, you have to get up at about 4 a.m. and walk to McDonald's to eat. And then you better walk all afternoon until you get to lunch at another McDonald's. And then after you should walk all the way again to another McDonald's and have dinner and then walk all the way home. That's the only way you're going to get kind of close to burning off the amount of calories. So take a look at these numbers. If you went to a McDonald's, we'll pick on McDonald's, and had an Egg McMuffin, do you know you have to walk almost 4 miles to burn off the calories from one Egg McMuffin? And if you got hotcakes with sausage, you got to walk almost 6.5 miles to burn it off. I just want you to think about that. If you're going to put that many calories in, there's literally not enough time in the day to exercise your way out of this problem. It's just not going to happen. You can't do it. You get bacon, eggs, and cheese biscuit, you got to walk for 6 miles. You get the hash browns. And by the way, who doesn't love the hash? Throw the hash browns on there. It's another 2 miles. So the 80-20 rule, write that one down. Burn that in your brain. 80-20. Remember every time you sit down and eat, 80-20, 80-20. There's another thing I want to share with you with exercise. And this one's a big one. So in one of my exercise physiology classes, the instructor was mentioning the fact that the human body doesn't maintain muscle tissue because it takes a lot of energy. Our bodies are all about energy conservation. I'm going to keep energy. I don't want to waste energy. I'm not going to do anything that wastes energy or anything if I don't have to. The brain is always evaluating every single muscle in your body every single day to decide if it's going to keep it or not. Every day your muscle has to go in front of the energy board in your brain and make a case for its survival. Now, if you sat around all day and you didn't exercise, when that muscle, the bicep, has to sit in front of the brain and justify it, it has nothing to say. The brain says, "What did you do today?" And the muscle says, "I didn't do anything." The brain immediately will decrease. Get rid of it. We don't need it. You know why? Because it takes a lot of energy to maintain muscle tissue. It doesn't take a lot to maintain fat tissue. The body would prefer, if you're not going to use it, you're going to lose it. It's that great comment. Use it or lose it. If you're exercising, if that muscle can come in front of the brain and say, "You know what I did? I did 15 reps 3 times with 25 pounds on both. We did pull-ups. I did all this stuff." The muscle says, "Oh, well then we'll allow you more energy then because you're used to us. It's important. We'll give you more energy will make you bigger, will make you stronger. That's how that works. Now, if you even have a day where you don't exercise and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna exercise, you still should do some sort of activity, a maintenance workout, so that when that muscle goes in front of the brain can say, what'd you do? And you say, well, at least I did this. And the brain, you know what the brain does? The brain actually will say, all right, I'm not gonna take you out, I'll leave you at about the same. So the brain is always trying to reduce the muscles, and the muscles are fighting for their existence. You have to give them a reason to fight when they're in there. The motion, the exercise. Listen, those daily walks are telling your body to rebuild. Here's the startling thing I heard in that class from that professor. Are you guys ready for this? The body breaks down twice as fast as it builds. That's another good one to write down in your notes. The body breaks down twice as fast as it builds up. What does that mean? If you don't work out today, 2 days to get back to where you were. You don't work out all of next week, 2 weeks to get back to where you were. Let that one soak in. 2 things I want you to get out of this. The 80-20 rule, okay? 80% diet, 20% exercise. And remember, if you don't work out, it's gonna take you 2 days to get back to where you were. The body is definitely breaking down. Now, the way you can defeat that rule is if you go do at least a maintenance workout. Right? So I like to swim. There's no secret about that. If I go out and I can work out for 4,000 or 5,000 yards and take an hour and a half or 2 hour workout, that's great. The next day, if I can't swim, if I could at least get in the pool and swim for 30 minutes, it turns out the degeneration of the muscles and everything is going to be greatly, greatly reduced. So maintenance workouts. Listen, we're motion machines. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think you've all learned from us about the spine. If you haven't come in, you're going to learn all kinds of things about it. The human spine has to move to be healthy. So when you're moving, the body's going to reward you. When you're not moving, you're going to get punished, okay? So oxygen and exercise are important to burn fat. Now, back in the days, one more thing before I hand this off. Back in the day, we used to always talk about, right, exercise, long-term running, burning fat. Well, we've learned a lot. It turns out high intensity, short time, turns on the fat burning mechanisms in the body. And it's not just while you're exercising. When you do high intense training, or what we call surge, when you do a very high intense exercise for a short amount of time, it triggers the body to start burning up the fats for energy, and it continues to go. It's almost like it turns on the heater, and the heater will continue to burn for a long, long time after that. Surge training. Dr. Doss does a great surge. We've talked about that. He does surge in our office. Phenomenal things in there. You just got to get in there. It's short term. We're talking 10, 20 minutes in and out on surge, and it's just a way to throw on the fat burning mechanisms or metabolism inside your body, right? So I'm going to hand this back over to Dr. Doss. He's going to go over what we call our Max T3 process, which is our surge training. Here's the keys that I wanted you to get out of my little talk here. The 80-20 rule, really important, okay? 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. Also remember, it takes you twice as long to get back what you lost. Burn that in. It's important to stay active, right? Also, another thing, back on habits. We're going to start small. We're going to be happy with our rewards. We're going to celebrate them. Don't you start out big. Don't come out and tell me I'm going to be an ultra marathoner tomorrow. Don't come out and say, I've got this elephant, I'm eating it in one bite. I want a nice goal. You're going to write down your page, here's the weight I would like to be, or here's the condition I'd like to be in, or here's the 10K I want to walk, or here's the 10K I want to run. And it's a year out, but here's where I want to run a 5K in 6 months. I want to make sure I can at least run whatever those goals are. You build them on your sheet, and then you reward yourself as you get closer. But remember, here's the number one thing I want you to remember when we talked about habits. You got to start, because the first thing is starting the habit. 30 days, I don't care what it is. If it's a walk for 10 minutes, it's super easy. Make it easy. Don't get hit by a 2x4 in the head, because no one will do that. If you get up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and go for a run in the freezing cold rain, you're not going to do it again. Your brain's not stupid. Your brain's going to go, well, that was great, but don't wake me up tomorrow. I'm not going to do it. So start very small for me. All right, guys, it was great. I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Doss. Dr. Doss, what do you have for him on T3?
Yes, Dr. Sherry, that's so important. Thank you for bringing that up, right? Max T3, only 12 minutes a day in your home. As somebody who teaches the surge classes and does the surge videos online, gonna once again bring you this opportunity to invite you to our surge on Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:15, or check Facebook. I'm live multiple times a week giving you a workout. Something that's really great for your recovery from your workout is your electrolytes. The Max Keto electrolytes that we offer are fantastic. What they help to do is boost your body's hydration, protect your nervous system, right? And then they help your muscles, and they help your muscles recover faster and just help your body function better overall. Electrolytes are used in so many different chemical processes, right? Magnesium alone is used in over 300 different processes in the body. And then it's also got zinc, potassium, chloride, and other great stuff, right? So that Max Keto electrolytes. Bringing us to our next topic here, minimizing toxins, one of our major 5 essentials there, super, super important in today's time, right? In fact, over 70,000 different chemicals are used in different things commercially that are involved in the human body, causing who knows what, right? Because a lot of these things haven't been fully researched just yet. Some of those chemicals are things that we like to call endocrine disruptors, right? So toxins are everywhere. Your cleaning products, your cookware, you're surrounded by toxins in your everyday life. They've been shown to have a damaging effect on a variety of human processes. But these endocrine disruptors specifically disrupt hormone function, right? So that includes pesticides found on non-organic produce, which is sprayed on crops. You got your flame retardants there, found in many fabrics and carpets, also found in mattresses. Your phthalates are found in your plastics, packaging, toys, PFAs, and your non-stick cookware like Teflon, and your BPAs found in many, many plastics, right? Another specific type of toxin that is found in a lot of different places are called your obesogens. So when it comes to weight loss, other factors from diet and exercise may make it more difficult to lose weight. One of those little known factors are toxins called obesogens, right? Also a subsection of the endocrine disruptor category. They disrupt hormones and have been shown to cause an increase in weight gain. Some well-known obesogens are also, once again, BPA, phthalates, atrazine, organotins, and something called PFOA, or fluorooctanoic acid. Those following chemicals can help you, stop you from losing the weight that you need, right? And they will also interfere with your nervous system. You know just how important it is to have a high-functioning nervous system. So now we're going to introduce Dr. Osborne to talk about why having a balanced nervous system is so, so key inside of the human body.
All right, thanks, Dr. Das. So that was pretty amazing, isn't it? It's a little scary when you start to find out about all those obesogens and the toxicity that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So this is, I would say this is probably one of the most important parts that we're going to discuss. And we've been going for a couple hours here, and we've been going straight through. So you're going to say, how many of you are going to say that you know somebody that ate well, right? They exercised, they did all the right things, and they seemingly tried to avoid toxicity, right? Like they gave all outward appearances and that they were avoiding toxicity, and somehow they actually had a positive mindset, and then they actually got sick, right? How many of you know somebody like this? That was just, if you were right out there, look to the left, look to the right, raise your hands, because the question is health only just eating and exercising? And is it just about detoxing? Because I think what we get really confused on what the real definition of health is. Well, if it's not just exercising and eating right, then the definition of health, what's the true definition of health? And I guess a question I could ask you, if I asked you this morning when you woke up this morning, how would you know you're healthy? Or how would you know you're sick, right? What are most people going to say? Most people are going to tell me that I'm healthy because I feel good. And that's great. That's what most people would say. Why would you tell them that that's not the best way to judge their health? Because you don't always You don't always feel everything. And so when you start thinking about the top killers right now, what are they? We have to be very clear about that. And I think when we start looking in this current environment, when we start looking at things like heart disease, when we start looking at cancer, the leading causes of death by 2050, right? That is. It means that by right now, if you're going to have a heart attack in 2050, you're actually developing heart disease right now, but you don't feel it. If you're going to get cancer by 2050, you're developing cancer on the inside of your body right now, but you don't feel it. And that's why they call these things silent killers. So if you're not feeling the problem, how can we possibly judge our health entirely by how we feel? If you don't feel like you're suffering from some of the top killers right now, then you're going to do nothing. And that's a really bad definition of health. And so for you to start feeling a problem within your body, it means you've already lost function over time. You've already lost your ability to function at 100%, and now you start feeling a problem. And now what do most people do? What are they taught to do? Because they're taught to judge their health on how they feel. Well, they just take something to feel better, right? They look for like that thing on the outside of their body, so they try to cover up the symptom. And when we're covering up the symptoms, does the problem disappear? No. So let's say that somebody has a headache. What do we taught to take for a headache? Maybe it's an aspirin. Maybe it's an ibuprofen. So they cover up the symptom of the problem, but the underlying issue is still there. And did that actually make you healthy? No. The body is brilliant. It's always working towards health, and it's always working towards healing. It's trying to overcome whatever caused that headache. It's always moving in the right direction at the right time, trying to balance out whatever we're doing or the environment that we're exposing it to. And all of that happens with one system, and here's the challenge. It's the most neglected system in modern healthcare. It's the one that I would say that's most neglected as far as maintenance and being taken care of over time. It's the one system that allows your body to respond and adapt to the environment, to heal, to move in the direction of 100% health and function. There's one system that does that, and it's, like I said, it's the most neglected system. What is it? It's your nervous system. So literally, hopefully if you're a patient, you got that. But the healing inside of your brain and your spinal cord and it controls everything for your heart to beat or your lungs to breathe. If I cut your leg right now with a paper cut or a machete, that paper is going to cut. But what's going to happen? Your leg's going to heal, right? If you cut paper, it doesn't heal. If you cut your leg, it actually heals. You didn't have to think about that. Why? Because inside of you is a mechanism that's governed by this self-healing, self-regulating intelligence, and it's all initiated within your nervous system. So your nervous system right now controls everything. You have over 77 trillion cells inside of your body. Your heart has been shown to regenerate itself. Your skin, the epithelial lining of your skin has been shown to regenerate itself. Your stomach lining has been demonstrated that it regenerates itself over your time. And now your brain has even been demonstrated that it has regenerative capabilities to not only heal itself, but to regenerate new cells and generate and grow new cells. So your body's amazingly regenerative, right? So imagine if you were to live 70 to 80 or 90 years with quality of health. Imagine living your life without the need for medications or surgeries, or imagine enjoying your family, your children, your grandchildren, your vitality, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical expenses. Question is, do you believe it's possible to live this type of life? This is the type of life that people are meant to live. But unfortunately, statistics show that most will never reach such a state of living. It's quite likely that most of you, or most of the people that you know, your family members, your friends, your coworkers, or maybe even yourself, are already taking medications. And in fact, there are probably people you know who are taking multiple medications, regardless of their age. Is that you? Do you take medications for conditions such as allergies or sinus issues or headaches or mood or joint pain, sleep problems, blood pressure, cholesterol? The medications may make you feel a little bit better, but the question is do they make you healthy? Like I asked earlier, you ask most people why they never really truly live a healthy life, right? They don't know, but you can see that most people don't know why. And it may help to think about how you were raised. It's not the type of home that you grew up in or the school that you went to, but the mindset with which your family took care of their health. In most families, there wasn't much attention given to health until someone didn't feel well or got sick. And when they got sick, even if it was an ordinary cold, they took medicine to feel better. And if it was a more serious problem, there was a visit to a doctor that was in order, which likely necessitated a prescription medication. So rather than trying to find out who the heck sneezed on you, families usually focused on what would make them feel better, but not on why they got sick in the first place, right? Not much has changed in today's families. So let me ask you this question, like I asked earlier. When you woke up today, how did you determine how healthy you were? What did you base your level of health on? And I speak with people every month, and that's the first question that I ask. And usually people that I've never met, and they usually tell me that they base their health on how they look and feel. Wouldn't you agree? Because if you look and feel terrific, that would be a good indicator of health. But is it really? Have you known somebody who felt great and then had a heart attack? Or somebody that felt fine and came away from a routine checkup with a cancer diagnosis? When my wife, Melanie, and I first learned that being healthy truly has little to do with how you feel, we were kind of confused, right? After all, we were young, we felt good. And then we learned that when people are, when we had our first child, and they had an ear infection, we thought, oh, are they sick, right? Well, what did most people do? They usually go to the medical doctor to get a prescription. Well, one of our mentors, basically told us that, look, there's something going on, right, in your child's body. You need to find out what it is. And so I just want you to, make sure, let you know, we didn't end up putting tubes in our kids' ears. We didn't end up putting them on diabetics. We didn't, try to put them on a round of steroids or breathing. When we first found out about this principle, I just graduated from chiropractic college, and unfortunately, it takes time to develop our health understanding. And you have to go from this thinking of a symptom and sick care mindset to one of preventing health problems before they begin. So, what did I learn that I want you to learn that changed my mindset and our health of our family forever? I learned that health is based on the World Health Organization's definition of health. So when a body's functioning at 100%, and the key word is here function, that sounds great, but what does it mean? How would I know if my wife or my children's body were functioning at 100%? So when the spine's misaligned, the nervous system, unfortunately, is unable to properly send messages back through the body. And there are differences in nerve cells, but all of them respond to signals from other cells, and they conduct signals along their processes. The neurons in the brain, there are chemical messengers that communicate with other cells. And so the role of a chiropractor, of your Discover chiropractor, is to really maintain that balance in your central nervous system, make sure that the nerve cells are functioning correctly, your body's able to adapt to stress better, because spinal alignment means better communication and increased efficiency in your body. Because there's different areas of the brain that affect different behaviors and functions within your body. You have the frontal lobe of the brain, and it's associated with reasoning and motor skills and higher level cognition and expression of language. It also receives information in order to execute body movements. This is the area of the brain that affects your ability to have self-control and actually avoid risks. Then you have this parietal lobe. It's the middle section of the brain, and it's associated with tactile sensory information such as pressure and touch and pain. It processes body signals. And then you have the temporal lobe, the bottom section of the brain, and this is the area of where you have the primary auditory cortex is, which is important for interpreting sound and what we hear. This is an area where we get our memories. And then you have the occipital lobe back here. In the back portion of the brain, it's associated with interpreting visual stimuli and information. So what I want you to understand from that is that as you can see, your brain and your behaviors are linked with spinal misalignment that causes the interference to the communication from your brain to the rest of your body. And it can impact your thinking, it can impact your behavior, it can impact your ability to control your behavior and your mindset. That's why when my kids were young, if they were acting off, my wife would say, your kids are subluxated, check their spine. Plus, here's the thing, if your autonomic functions, your fight or flight response is disturbed, you might not feel well. You might feel stressed, which will really want to hinder you from wanting to exercise or eat healthy foods or perform your healthy lifestyle goals. And so that's why when if we look at the 5 essentials, we always recommend nutritional supplementation. We always recommend rehabilitative exercises. Look, I recommend soft tissue relaxation therapies and things that help change posture to remain, help people remain balanced and healthy. But chiropractic adjustments, unfortunately, rarely receive the recognition for their ability to assist in weight loss, right? However, when your chiropractic adjustment, what I need you to understand is it directly changes your body chemistry, and a proven result is to be a major factor in helping, both men and women like you lose weight. There's a lot of sound science behind the benefits of the adjustment, and it clearly shows that there is a massive connection between health and weight loss. Your adjustments, they have the most powerful effect on your nervous system, and then therefore the function of your hormones, like Dr. Das talked about. Losing body fat it's a challenge that connects with the overall body function. There's no way your body's going to lose fat if it's not functioning. Losing body fat while gaining, keeping muscle revolves around like a proper body chemistry. And your balanced body chemistry, it derives from balanced hormones. So your chiropractic adjustment not only balances your body's hormones, but it also creates this overall state of wellness. So the question is how do your adjustment affect your hormones? Well, the spine literally interacts, like I said earlier, with a part of the brain called the hypothalamus that controls all major hormones, including those that deal with weight loss and muscle gains. And when somebody has interference, when interference occurs in the central nervous system or wherever a spinal misalignment moves incorrectly, resulting in a vertebral subluxation, that interference, it's going to trigger an increase in hormones and a decrease of growth hormones through a stimulated hypothalamus. And this alteration in the stress hormones prevents the body from its ability to break down amino acids, to recycle amino acids in the blood. And since like amino acids like L-carnitine are the building blocks of protein and muscles, subluxation is going to have a definite impact on your weight loss goals if not corrected. The breakdown of muscles and the loss of fat are all mediated by hormones. So when you get your adjustments, it's going to help balance good hormones, decrease bad hormones through that spine's direct relationship with the brain. And there's no more amount of protein powder that can be consumed or shakes or bars or supplements that can force the body to spare muscle or manipulate fat stores when hormones are out of balance. There's a lot of lifestyles that alter the balance of body chemistry, forcing the loss of muscle and accumulation of fat. When we have poor spinal health, it exists as one major example that's overlooked by almost every medical doctor or nutritionist or trainer or weight loss strategist, right? So if you haven't had an exam or x-rays of your spine in at least 6 months, or you have a family member who hasn't have been checked for subluxation, this is one of the best times to get your spine checked. And the reason being is that we'll be doing tests that no other doctor can do and that can have the most significant impact on your overall health. So I guess one of the questions that, we're going to be doing a fundraiser like we usually do for Oklahoma Haven Children's Hospital. And, we do this every year. This is a chiropractic children's hospital where people actually, they live there and they receive chiropractic care to balance out their body. It's a place where the people without hope go to find hope. Right? It's a place of hope. And I just want we raise money for them every single year on Balanced Spines Day. We call it Balanced Spines Week. We're going to be actually opening up an extra time, this week and the beginning of next week to be able to support you in this process there. But I think just to kind of get back to where we were talking about, about adjustments and making fat loss easier. Many people who begin receiving chiropractic adjustments, they just find it easier to lose fat and to gain muscle using their, than when they had their previous established regime of their diet and exercise. It's like that secret sauce. And I think, the reason being, like I said, your chiropractic adjustments, they facilitate your body chemistry, which can only be balanced within the nervous system. So our goal is to be able to create a subluxation-free environment in you that empowers the body to balance hormones and improve overall wellness from the inside out. And when you combine this with the other essentials of max living, what you're going to notice is life-changing benefits, healthy nutrition, proper exercise, empowering mindset, detoxification there. So how does interference happen, right? That's the question, the next question that I get. Okay, I understand chiropractic, but I want to understand how this interference happens. And I just want to, and really, what is it? How does it happen? And I think one of the easiest ways to know is the effects of subluxation. And what those effects of subluxation are, it's going to literally lead to degeneration of every part of the body depending on where that subluxation is in the spine. That's one of the reasons why we actually take an x-ray, because where there's the degeneration in the spine lets us know that that's where the subluxation has been the longest there. And so what I want you to understand is your spine is more than just about your back. Hopefully you've gotten that by now, and that and we want you to know that your nervous system controls everything. But if you look at this slide right here, this is a chart where all these nerves go to. So if you damage nerves in your spine, and that can happen through things like car accidents and birth trauma or sitting on a computer all day, like when we're doing all these Zoom calls, what happens when your spine gets shifted out of position, right? that is called subluxation. Sitting on your phone is called subluxation. Sitting on a Zoom call, watching TV is called subluxation. And we spend all day long sitting on our computers, and we have this forward head posture where your head shifts forward like that, and this literally shifts forward, and it crushes the nerves in your neck, and it takes decades off your life. And this is what's been proven, and I'm going to go through this with you here in a moment. And that's why the reason we are a corrective chiropractic office, why everybody needs to be checked by a corrective chiropractor, because the first thing is that you and I do is look at this one thing that surrounds and protects us, right? We look at that spine, and that spine surrounds and protects. Your spinal cord is protected by 24 individual movable vertebrae that surround and protect your brain stem, the spinal cord, the nerves. It's like a shield of protection for your nervous system. So it's got to be straight from the front, and it's got to have three nice smooth curves from the sides, and you should have. And when it's like that, you have normal blood pressure, right? You have no ideal cholesterol. You have an ideal spine. So those bones have to be stacked on top of each other individually, one above the other in perfect alignment. And when that happens over time, and we do this for life, right? And we're going to have slips and falls and injuries and accidents. And I'm going to point this out. Those slips and falls, those are the things that cause subluxation. So what are some of the warning signs? Because we know that we can't judge our health by our symptoms. But what if you do have symptoms? If you haven't had your nervous system checked, if you've never been to a corrective chiropractor, we're going to give you the opportunity, like I said earlier, to get checked. There is actually a link on your resource page that'll take you straight to the website, which will allow you to register on the website for a time that's convenient for you. But there's literally a coupon on there, and it's only going to be good for this week because we've already booked out the next week for people that are going to be coming in. So this is incredibly important. It's first come, first serve. But how do you know if you need to get checked by a chiropractor for subluxation? So like I said, there's warning signs, right? It's like a stop sign, a warning sign there. And these warning signs, and thank God that they are warning signs. We call them body signals. Because how much would it be worth to know that your heart is malfunctioning, right? Before you actually have a heart attack? Or how much would it be worth to know that you're having things like constipation or IBS or things that have been shown to be precursors to colon cancer? I mean, how much is it worth to know that you're developing these things before you're actually in the hospital being told that, they have to take out 3 feet of your colon? So these are some of the warning signs of subluxation. And the first one is headaches. With your head forward posture, if you pinch the nerves that are going to the back of the head, one of the things that you'll often have is headaches. And it's simple as that. And I say, of 100 people who walk in with headaches, probably 99% of them walk out without their headaches if we find the cause of their problem. The best way to do that is by getting a full exam. Other warning signs are things like menstrual problems and blood pressure. I mean, your blood pressure centers are right here at the top of your spine. In the Journal of Hypertension, they found that chiropractic adjustments lowered blood pressure better than 2 drugs like HCTZ and lisinopril. Depression is another symptom. Subluxations affect your serotonin levels, insomnia, again, and serotonin levels, fatigue, acid reflux. Do you know somebody who has acid reflux? And what do? They take Nexium, the purple pill, and what is that doing? That's interfering with your body's ability to heal, and it's not fixing the problem. It's the exact same thing with any of the medications that you take for these things. By the way, one of the side effects of Nexium is heart arrhythmias, and the medication that they give you for the heart arrhythmias is actually heartburn. So it's this vicious cycle, right? So if you have any of these things and you take a medication for it, it's like putting a piece of duct tape on your, your oil light. It didn't fix anything. And if you keep driving your car like that, eventually it's going to do what? It's going to blow up. Can you see that if you keep ignoring these warning signs, and here comes heart disease, here comes cancer, here comes diabetes, and it's only because you simply ignored the warning signs. So it's time to do something about that. It's just a simple fact that your brain and your spinal cord control everything, and it's the most important thing in your body is proper nerve supply. Now, before me, think about this. Before you met me or came into my office or had an exam to find out how your nervous system is functioning, right? How many people actually even thought about their nervous system and the impact that it has on the health? Usually I have people raise their hands in one of our live seminars, and probably like 10% of the people actually knew this information before they even got into our office. That's absolutely crazy, and that's why we're so sick as a population. That's why this is so important. And like I said, here's what we're going to do. If you're a guest, make sure you go to the registration page. Just register. Click on the link that says for your appointment there. If you are thinking about somebody right now, just send them that link, send them the coupon, let them know we're going to get them in, and we're going to donate all the proceeds to Oklahoma Haven Children's Hospital there. And so they're going to be able to, and this, like I said, it deals with the sickest of the sick, the people with the greatest neurologic damage there. But look, we're serious about making sure you get your health back this year. So like I said, we opened up extra appointment times for you and your family, get it checked. The exam fee is only $40, and we're going to donate that. And for that, what you're going to do is you're going to receive a consultation, a surface EMG, and a thermal scan, postural evaluation. We'll determine if you need to take x-rays or perform any additional testing and discuss those fees with you before moving forward. But if we do take x-rays, it'll be included in that $40. Guys, so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to give you the courage to be bold. And I want to, and I think that's right now at this time, we need a new measure of boldness in this season. And so I want to be bold. I want you to have courage. I want you to take those steps that you need to take so that you can end up having the life that you need to have. So be bold with your family, be bold with your friends, be bold with them and let them know that when there's boldness, there's hope and there's courage, because it's necessary, right? We're not just trying to have new people come into our office. We're trying to save lives because there's people that are sick and suffering out there. And like I said earlier, just in our valley, there's 1.39 million people that have a disease. Somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to step out, and we got to keep on. We either keep on going in the same direction that everybody else is going, or we go in a different direction. If we go in a different direction, we're going to get different results. So make sure that you get your family checked. Make sure that you get if you're a guest, make sure you set up your guest appointment there. And if your family doesn't live here, if they live in a different state, let us know. We'll make sure that we find them somebody in a different state there. But it's all about communication with us. Just let us know, and we'll help you any way we can.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Osborne. Wow, what a great day. Okay, so we got a lot of information out there. You've heard from all three of the doctors at Discover Chiropractic. What are we looking at next? Well, one more thing before we move on. And this is a topic that I deal with every day in the office. For those of you that are patients, the home care. Now, for those of you who aren't patients yet, in our office, when you come in and we take you through the whole process, we develop a series of home care exercises specifically built off of your x-ray, specifically for you in your situation. Those home care exercises need to be performed usually once a day, or for those of you under corrective care, twice a day, morning and night. For those corrective care patients, we're really in the active phase of changing curves in a human spine. We need you doing those twice a day. It's a big challenge, and it goes right into the habit forming things that we talked about early on. The same thing, starting out easy and building up to them. Easily, it's one of the number one things that we deal with that get dropped in our program. So I'm here to reinforce that. Home care, when you take a look at it, I really want you to sit down and add this to one of the goals that you're going to set moving forward. If you're doing them, great. I want you to stay with them. Just keep knocking them out of the park. If you're not doing them, let's go back and utilize the tools that we talked about in habit forming. What's it look like? When am I going to do it? And start slow. If you're not sure which ones to do, grab one of us in the office and ask us. Say, hey, I want to do Dr. Sherry said. I want to start with a slow one. What's the most important one in my program? I want you to start doing them. You have to carve out the time space in our brains when you do it. If that means I got to wake up and I can do it for 5 or 10 minutes, then let me tell you which ones to do. Again, if you're doing them all, just keep knocking them out of the park. But home care is one of the most crucial things. Once we do the adjustments and we get those bones back and we get the pressure off the nerves that we talked about and we get function back to that human being, it starts working. The home care is really like what keeps it going. The chiropractor is like going to the dentist a lot of times, and the home care is like you doing the brushing and the flossing. It's really important to keep doing. So on your home care, make sure you do those. For those of you who aren't patients yet, you'll see them when you come in, and we'll give you a prescription of the ones we want you to do specifically. But I want you to look back at them. If you're doing them, keep doing them. If you're not, I want you to re-look at that, and that's a really good thing to start your new habit is maybe starting with doing your wobbles every day. Maybe your door traction. If you have a Dina roll, do the Dina roll for a minute or two. I want you to start winning. We have to win. Be that water polo team in high school in Saratoga. Be that high school team that started winning and kept winning and kept winning. That's the key here, is you got to start winning. All right. Now, where do we go from here? What happens? We've had a lot. So what's our first step? The first step is if you're a new patient, if you're someone who's never been in our office and you want to come in and you want to get tied into this exciting culture and you want to be around us and let us guide you to be healthy and maybe even change your whole family's life. Remember, I've never found anybody that said, I don't want to be healthy for as long as I can. I don't find anybody that doesn't draw a tear when you hear about that person who's died early, or that person who had a disease that could have been prevented, or the elder person who lost function and they're alive, but they're not, quality of life is just gone. Everyone wants that, and this office is all about providing that. So what's the first step? Listen, if you haven't been to our office, I want to ask you to call in and get a hold of us. On the landing page, on the resources that we provided for this, there's a website that has a click. You can click on that and set up a new patient appointment right then. If you can't find it, here's the number you call, 408-985-1111. Let me tell you again, 408-985-1111. Call that, set up an appointment, make sure you let them know you came from the makeover. We'll get you set up. A great deal. You know what we've done is we've offered a special for all the new patients that come in from this, all the lives that we can touch that come in from this. It's only $40. It's normally over $150 in our office to come in on a day one and do the x-rays and the tests that we do. Because we'll run you through, you're going to fill out paperwork. We're going to run you through an exam. If we find clues that there's a subluxation or an issue we want to address, we'll run you through two kinds of tests. One's called the surface EMG, where we look at muscle activity in your spine. It's a great way to find out how that spine is functioning. We'll also do a thermography. It takes a look at skin temperature and gives us a really good picture of where nerves are working and where nerves aren't working. I think it's by far one of the most favorite thing that people look at when they come in as a new, is they see those graphs of what's happening. And if we see positive tests there, we'll go take some x-rays and look, because what's that? To see is to know, right? So we'll take that x-ray. That's the best way to see the subluxations. We can get a good look at your spine and do that. So that's the process. And by the way, the $40 that we're asking gets you in our door and gets things set up. We're going to take that money and pass that on to a place called Oklahaven, and that's a children's chiropractic office in Oklahoma. It's for no profit. They offer free kids to the children there in Oklahoma. So we're going to be donating any of that money to the Oklahaven Chiropractic Center for Children in Oklahoma. We've done it before. If you're an existing patient and you just want to donate to help out that program, by all means, let us know. We'll get the money tied up with what we send out from the new people who set up. But it's a really, really good resource to send out and help those people in Oklahoma take care of children with chiropractic care. They're committed to a non-drug, healthy, natural approach to health for these kids. And it started over 59 years ago in the 60s, dealing with a lot of paralyzed kids. And they did a lot of work out there. So we just want to help them out as much as we can. So if you want to come in, you're going to help out a great cause, and you're going to help yourself out. And believe it or not, my experience, you're going to end up helping a lot of your friends, a lot of your family. And we need your help. For those of you guys out there who've heard this, here's the number one thing I hear when I talk to people after these, and I say, what'd you think? And they almost always will say, man, my mom should have been on, my dad should have been on, or you start naming the people who should have been on. We count on you guys to get the word out. We're here to help as many people as we can, be as healthy as we can. So those are our first steps. Now, those are for people, that first step process of calling and setting an appointment and doing paperwork, those are for those of you who've never been in our family, who've never come in. For those of you existing patients, what's your first step? It's pretty easy. We got to look at the list. We got to start finding out what your why is. I can tell you this. Here's the bump in the road, right? You're going to take this stuff down. You say, you know what? I'm going to go get my why. I've done this. I'll sit down and I start thinking of the why, and I can't think of it. And the next thing you know, I go, I'm going to go do something else. And a couple days, and a week, and a month, and a year go by, and I never did it. Don't get crazy on this. Sit down, think of a why. Why do I want to be healthy? Why do I want to live longer? What's my reason? Listen, it could be because your St. Bernard needs to be alive longer and be fed. I don't care what it is, but find the why that drives. The why is the engine that drives this process. And then you got to find that vision. What do I want that to look like? Right? I want to live to I'm 85 years old. What do I want to look like? Well, I want to be lying in the nursery. I don't want to be lying in a nursing home somewhere, right? I want to be out functioning and moving around. So my goal is that's what that looks like. What does it take? We start building the process. So for those of you down there, that's what we start doing. Find the why, find that vision, start figuring out what direction you're going to go. The next step, It's all about habits. We're going to start creating habits, guys. We're going to start small. We're going to eat that elephant one little bite at a time. You're going to start creating small habits. I want to hear about your wins when you come in. Don't be embarrassed. If that win is you come in and say, you know what I did is I've been walking the last 4 days. I got up and I walked for 5 minutes. It's all where it starts. It's all where it starts. Everyone starts one step at a time and we start moving forward. The goals, celebrate those small wins like we talked about. So create that. The other thing I want you to do is tie into our office. You got to be in this office with all this energy. You got to be tied in. We do workshops. We have all kinds of information. We're here to support you guys as patients. We want to help you take care of yourselves. So make sure you tie into us. If you're going to do the challenge, which we all should be saying, yeah, we're doing it. I want you to immediately pick up your phone, take it out, and text challenge, the word challenge, to the office number 408-985-1111. That'll help us keep track of who's doing it. It helps us keep track of who's in the process, where you are, because we want to keep you and we want to keep you winning. Okay, so once again, if you're doing the challenge, take your phone and text to us immediately the word challenge to 408-985-1111, and that'll get that out to us so we know exactly what's happening and how many people are involved. So those are your action steps following this. And after this, one more thing, the most important success factor. I love this quote by Jim Rohn. Are you ready for this? I'm going to end my part with this, my time with you guys today with Jim Rohn. He said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." You know, sometimes you hear quotes and they just kind of float over, and other ones, they just kind of sit on you and you listen to them and you think about them a little bit more. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And all I can ask you guys as I hand this back over to Dr. Osborne to wrap this up and Dr. Doss is let us be one of those 5. All right, guys, have a healthy day. I look forward to seeing you in the office. And you guys who I haven't met yet, make sure you say you saw me on the makeover when you come in. Have a great night.
Yes, Dr. Sherry, thank you so much for that call to action and providing those easy action steps, right? Getting your nervous system checked is super important, right? It's literally the connection that you have to reality, your taste, sight, hearing, smell, all of that is definitely coming from your nervous system, okay? So your most important success factor, right? If you want to achieve great things in your business and your personal life, then you got to surround yourself with the right people. There's a common saying, it's you're an average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? So here's your chance to get those 5 people on board with you. It's not only going to help them, but it's going to ensure your success also, because if you have your 5 closest friends that are living a 5 essentials healthy lifestyle, you're basically not going to have any other choice, right? You're going to put everything that you have into this because it's going to become your world. It's going to maximize that longevity, and you're going to really reap the benefits and thank yourself, right? So I encourage you to bring them to a dinner or sign them up for a challenge with you. And that's just a really great way to create that group dynamic and some of that cohesion within the office, right? Because we really are like one big family. That's why we call ourselves the Discover Family. We've got some upcoming opportunities for you to do this. We got our Better Results Faster class coming on February 11th, taught by yours truly. It's a class all about the 5 essentials, going a little bit deeper into how that they can help you and how you can achieve your goals, and essentially the overall impact that you have on your nervous system with those, right? We'll also have some upcoming community dinners, and I definitely want to see some of you out here at our Monday and Wednesday surge classes, right, at 6:15. Got a really strong group there, and I have so much fun every time I get to teach it. Just really excited. So hopefully I'll be seeing you soon, and we'll give it back to Dr. Osborne to close things out. Doc, take it away.
I'm excited for you. Congratulations, you made it. Well, I am just so honored that we've had some kind of influence on your health today. And just remember, your health is your biggest asset. And I'm just so excited that you were here and then you had an opportunity to look at the resources that we provided to you. You had the opportunity to sit through this and to learn and to be part of the challenge. So before we finish, I ask that you just sit down with me for one final second. And I just want to talk to you as if I was talking to you as a patient in real life, because I know how I view this, right? As a patient, we would have already probably started a lifestyle change program with you at this point, but for some of it would be immediately, and for other people it would just be a little bit into their care, and I would have just brought you into a room, but for now we're sitting here in your living room. And we would just sit down with you for just a few minutes, and we have just gone through some really important things. And I think we should go over those things together right now. So please just keep your seat. I just want to talk to you about what is the biggest thing that you've gotten out of this interactions that we've had today, right? What is the teachings that you've heard? What was it about the intro video that you should have already watched this far? What was the biggest eye opener experience? The biggest thing that you've learned thus far? Now, typically, if you're like most people, it's like you say, I can't believe how simple it was. I can't believe how sick I was. I can't believe how bad I was eating. And I finally know my why, right? I also know why I can't lose weight. And I can't believe how simple it is to actually build health. I hated the medications that I was on. I was feeling so lost. I had no hope. I didn't know what to do. So, you popped up here on this webinar. And here you are. And so this is just a lot of this is just the people have this eye-opening results of what medicine does versus, where we're going here and how actually simple that can actually be to get health. So maybe you've already participated in one of our challenges before, and you've already gotten a tremendous amount of results. I mean, what was it for you? And I would remind you to have about having a conversation about how good it feels to understand what you know now, and understanding how to create real health, how to move in the right direction. Because imagine if you didn't understand that, today would be the last day that this movement exists for you. Meaning, I wouldn't want to enlist you in an army of people, in a movement of people, in a mission of what we need to accomplish, because there are just so many people out there outside of this interaction that aren't watching this today. There are people in this community. There's so many people outside the four walls that I'm sitting in and within a 5-mile or a 10-mile radius of you that are now that are begging and pleading and praying and crying and hitting their knees tonight, looking for an answer to health. And that answer, that's probably sitting in your seat right now, right? And you're the person that I want to enlist right now for this movement, because together we can be the solution for millions of other people that get the opportunity to live good, right? And we can do the good in the world, and we can start actually expressing it. And isn't that the purpose of getting healthy in the first place? Is to live out the purpose that God has for us? So I would ask if we were sitting down here together like we are right now, virtually one-on-one, what you got out of today. And two, I would ask, did you think of someone else when you heard about that you're now thinking about that as you were going through this process? Somebody that needs to make changes, somebody that should have gone through the teachings with you, and a lot of times people think about family and friends and coworkers and brothers and sisters, that if they had this information, it would change their life, and right now they're struggling for this information, they're praying for an answer. My question is would you be that solution for them? But what's the only way that they get real health, right? What's the only way for them to get real health? It's not to ignore their health and wait longer. Every day that passes, what's happening to them? Do they get better or worse? They get worse. So what do we do? One, do we let them ignore it? Do they just keep taking the drugs that they hope is going to fix their problem? How many more doctors are they going to need to visit? How many more drugs are they going to need to realize that it's not going to fix it? What's the only way for them to get healthy? They've got to build health. They got to build real health, and they got to have the tools to be able to do that. And this is a simple invitation. And I want you to send them a copy of your link to the resource page. Have them register for the webinar so they can have the same opportunities that you had. And your reward is this: they'll say, thank you for being a blessing. If your heart's like mine, you'd want to put out, know that you're thinking about people like I think about my dad, people like my mom, people like my grandmother, and people like the people that are friends of mine. And it's people like you that started this movement that bring them into this office. They're coming, somebody came to save you. And what if they had stopped, right? What if they had stopped and you wouldn't know what you know now? And I'm just as concerned about people in our office as people not in our office. And I'm serious. I'm serious about people in Kentucky. I'm serious about people in Alaska. I'm serious about people in Florida and people all over the countries. And how are these people and how are we going to get to these people? We've got to come up with a system to be able to get to these people. We would have never have gotten to, we would never gotten to you if somebody had said something. So my call to you is to be part of the solution with us. Join this movement, and now that you've joined it, as a guest, take care of yourself. And that's about, right now that's the easy part, but how will you take care of others? I can't do this alone. And my team can't do this alone. We need your help. Together, we are the solution. So who will you help with your next real life health experience, right? Who will you help experience real health? Whose solution will you be for that? What person will you be reaching out for? Because you can be the solution for someone else. Just have them click the link at the bottom of the resource page. They can make an appointment in the office or register to participate in the makeover experience that you just participated. Have them click the link below, share the link. You can share that link in there with your friends on registering, and it'll just take them back to that registration page. And they can learn a little bit about the challenge. And if they've registered for the makeover, they can also do the challenge with you. I'm enlisting you in this movement with us to be able to get to the unreachable, because I believe that we can change healthcare. We can start a real health revolution. And I'm just so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you spent this time with us. I want you to be healthy, but please don't leave your loved ones and your family members behind to suffer the same problems that you had before you came here. I'm just thankful for each of you. I love every one of you. And I just want you to know that you are the most important part of this movement. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again for spending time with us. Now get to work.